associates gather on the stand. The trial's a circus, but I've got a plan. Not a grifter, still worse than Dan. Hopscotch squares, don't slip, don't fall. BK and a felony, I've heard it all. Shake it, magic 8 ball. Tell me the truth, will justice call? Me be the diva, she's running the show. Two Capone and Meg, yeah, everybody knows. Fat or fat, well, nobody knows. What the corn echoes as the chaos grows. My credibility left in a vehicle. Hopscotch squares, don't trip, don't fall. BK and a felony, I've heard it all. Shake it, magic 8 ball. Tell me the truth, will justice call? What the corn echoes as the chaos grows. My credibility left in a vehicle.
What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. I always have to think
You're on
what day
mute.
it is.
Well, no, you're not.
What are you doing?
I thought you went to talk for a second.
All right, Flash fan. I haven't seen any chats from
You
you,
are
Flash
on
fan.
mute. I can't hear you.
I'm not muted.
It doesn't say you're on mute.
Well, then you talk.
Hold on. She's having some technical difficulties. Hi, everybody.
Am
Hello,
I?
Randy. And hello,
You're having
Lally.
some technical
Maybe it's just,
difficulties.
Bree says she can hear us both. Let me check my stuff.
Flash fan me. Flash fan. I haven't seen any chats from you in the chat, Flash fan. So I don't know what's happening. Flash fan can hear me, so it's all you. Whoops, now she's muted. Anyway, welcome. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. Carmen, check to make sure that your sound's not going through your web with your camera, because Bree says you sound like you're talking through a speakerphone. Hey, old soul, how you doing? I was able to finally last night get some of my stuff put up behind me. The AJ sign, Carmen and Cheyenne and Brandon and Bree got that for me for Christmas. I have it turned way down because it's really bright. And yes, I mean, it sounds good to me. And then on this side, I can't get it down, and I need to put a light over here. Is my credibility that Gabby and Mr. Gabby, it's my certificate of credibility that they sent me. I was rereading it last night, and I forgot how funny it was. And then underneath it is a piece of art that Matthew Moore drew for me, and sent it to Gabby, and she sent it to me. But he is one of the trials I did early on. I didn't do it live. I was just very interested in his trial. He was on trial for unaliving his wife, who he had said had self-deleted. And the defense attorney in that trial that he was able to fortunately have the money for, it left him broke. He was retired at an early age. Was able to prove that he did not unalive his wife, and she did, in fact. Either she self-deleted or his creepy neighbor did it. I'm telling his neighbor was creepy, so creepy, and
the cadaver dogs kept going to the neighbor's property.
Well, they went to those two houses, and then they were just done. And I'm like, something happened there.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows what, but apparently that neighbor left right after that trial was over. So, and so did Mr. Moore, because I don't blame him. I wouldn't stay in that town. Half the people there think you did something, the other half doesn't. And so I wouldn't stay there. Hello, Christine. How are you doing?
I don't know how it sounded earlier, because like you were talking and then I was talking because I couldn't hear you. So there was people I said hi to, but I think I was just really talking over you.
Well, you were telling me I was muted. Thank you for being a member for 4 months. The best juror on YouTube, the Gossip Queen. That's right. Even though I don't have any. Stop vaping, Carmen. Christine, member for 17 months. Thank you, Christine.
You've been a member for my mom's channel longer than I have. Congratulations.
You'll have that. So we are covering the Chante Mallard trial. It's from 2003 in Texas. She is on trial for allegedly, I don't even know that, do I have to say allegedly? Because she clearly hit Mr. Gregory Biggs, who was a homeless man who was walking down the street as she was driving home after a night out of alcohol, some illegal substances, should not have been driving. And she hit him and put him head first through her windshield. And instead of stopping to get any help or just stopping, period, she drove home to her garage, pulled into her garage, put the garage door down. According to her statement, she cried in her car, apologized to Mr. Biggs, who was still alive, and asking her to please get him some help. She did not. Instead, she went inside. And she called her friend, T, who we already heard testimony from, to come and get her. T came and got her. She did not know what was happening. She just knew that Chante was just very upset, and she got in T's car and just like drive. And as they were driving, she told her what she did. T didn't believe her. So they go back to Chante's house. They walk into the garage. They see Mr. Biggs. And T says to Chante, "You need to do something about this." Chante did nothing about it. T did nothing about it. Both of them worked as certified. They worked as nursing assistants in, I think, in a nursing home, and did nothing. Chante's brother was a lieutenant with the fire department. She didn't call him. She lived within 10 minutes or less of 2 hospitals, of 2 police stations. She passed a 24-hour gas station. She passed, I don't even know how many payphones, because it's 2003. Remember, not everybody had a cell phone then, and did nothing. She left Mr. Biggs in her windshield until he passed away, which took about 3 days. And then she called her friend or significant other, friends with benefits, whatever he was, Cleet, who we will hear testimony from, I think tomorrow. And they end up moving Mr. Biggs' body to the park where 2, or I don't know if it was 2 or a group of young men found him and alerted a firefighter who was there strength training. We did hear the testimony from the firefighter that it was very clear that he did not pass away at the park because they could see drag marks. There was no blood at the scene, nothing. Chante's friend, Miranda, she ended up telling her mother what had happened. Her mother made her call the police. We have not heard from Miranda. We will not hear from Miranda. We did hear from her mother, and we did hear the 911 call that Miranda made. And I don't understand. They're all so flat when they tell us what happened. Like, she's calling 911 anonymously. She doesn't want to give all her full details, which is fine. I understand that. But she's she's telling you that she went to the store and they were out of coffee, so she had to go to like another store. I mean, it was just so matter of fact in her retelling of this story. and I don't want to say story, that's bad, but hey, Ash, just, I don't know. I don't get it. There's not been any tears from, like, T didn't seem upset about it. We've
The
really,
most,
go ahead.
the most emotion that we've seen is from the firefighter who was just out there strength training that day, and you could tell in the stand that he was choking back tears. That's
Yeah,
literally the only emotion that we've seen so far.
which is just crazy to me. Um, you know, so they move his body to the park, but yet she tries to destroy her car. She tries to burn the seats. She's taken the seats out. They did kind of rebuild the front part of her car in the courtroom to show just like how much room there was, which isn't a lot. It was I think a 97 Cavalier. But she tried to destroy the evidence. She did plead guilty to that before the trial started. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, tampering with evidence. But she didn't do a very good job of cleaning up. Once they knew that she had something to do with it and they had the warrant, it did not take them long to put everything together because there's still blood on the floor, like everything. Her car is destroyed.
That's what a lot of people don't understand is you can do a crime and you can set a car on fire. Blood, you you gotta make that car hot.
Yeah, but she didn't even
And
tempt. It was
really hot to
still
get.
on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause you gotta make that thing hot, and you're gonna blow it up before you ever even get to that point.
I am not giving away money. Youngish mothers, oldest mothers, no mothers. Bree had sent me something earlier today. I was like, if you want to go get it, and I'll give you the money for it. That's why I was asking if I owed her money, but apparently I don't.
You owe me
So,
money.
no, I do not.
No, I'm forever in debt with you. You don't owe me, Jack.
Oh, goodness. I
Forever
don't even,
in debt.
who are we? I didn't even look to see who we,
So
who are we
I
watching
do.
today.
I apologize to everybody for us being a little discombobulated. We just had a lot going on the past couple of days, and throughout the weekend on some different things. I've had a lot of things going on with the sheriff's department, and my mom being a mom, being a grandma, and stuff. So a little discombobulated on who we're even watching today.
Yeah, I forgot to look. So I guess we'll hit play and find out. And I apologize too that we're not very prepared. I did turn the sound up though, so there's a plus. And let me know if I need to adjust it at all. And let's see who we have.
Given the cause now pending for this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right. If you'll print your name on that pad over there and pull the microphone up close so everybody can hear you. The rule's been invoked. You may not remain in the courtroom. You're not to converse with each other or any other person about this case except by permission of the court. You're not to read any report of or comment upon the testimony in this case while under the rule. Counsel for the state, you may call your next witness.
State would call Jim Souter to the stand, Your Honor.
Counselor, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Captain Souter, would you state your name for the record?
I am Captain Jim Souter, Fort Worth Fire Department.
How long have you been with Fort Worth Fire Department?
24 years, sir.
What's your position with the fire department?
I am captain over the emergency medical services program.
Can I assume that you have talked to the prosecutors about what you're going to testify to today?
Yes, sir.
Can you sort of summarize for me what you're here to testify about?
Testified to the skills and abilities of the first responders in the Fort Worth Fire Department and their level of training in their ability to treat injuries that were sustained by Mr. Biggs.
And I'm going to let you do this in narrative form for purposes of this hearing. Will you tell me what the skills and abilities of the first responders for the fire?
So this is going to be Captain Jim Souders. He's from the Fort Worth Fire Department. And don't get that confused with her brother that is a lieutenant at that fire department. And then after that, we will hear from Dr. Raymond. Don't ask me to pronounce this. I'm going to call him Raymond S. because I'm really bad with names. He's an emergency medicine physician. So that's who we're going to hear from today. I forgot that I had my notes right.
You made notes. Better than me.
Excuse me, the Fort Worth Fire Department are?
Yes, sir. The minimum level of medical training the Fort Worth firefighters receive is the emergency medical technician basic level. This is based off of national standards, the Department of Transportation 1994 standards. They receive approximately 160 hours of training in the fire academy for medical, for EMT training. The training consists of everything from CPR to AED, bandaging, splinting.
What's AED?
Automated external defibrillator, sir.
Okay.
Bandaging and splinting, oxygen administration, mechanical aids to breathing, being able to control and treat the loss of blood, shock, recognition of life-threatening emergencies and treatment protocols for those.
Okay. And would you, I guess, let me ask you this. What have you reviewed before testifying here today? What evidence from the case?
I have reviewed the Dr. Parawani's autopsy report, and I've reviewed the autopsy photos.
Okay, the pictures that were actually taken in the medical examiner's office of Mr. Biggs' body.
Yes, sir, and also photos of the Miss Mallard's car.
Okay. And I guess, have you formed an opinion as to whether or not Mr. Biggs' injuries could have been treated?
Yes, sir, I have.
What is that opinion?
It is my opinion that Mr. Biggs' injuries were not life-threatening if they would have been treated early on in the causation right after the accident.
Okay. I want to ask you a couple of questions about that. First, I want to ask you what could have been done? What types of procedures could have been performed on him given his injuries?
Mr. Biggs' injuries could have been treated with the very basic, simplest of emergency medical technician skills of simply bandaging and splinting, cervical collar immobilization and stabilization, oxygen and delivery, and just basic life support, if you will, sir.
Okay. Now, when you said early on, what do you mean by early on?
Within a relatively short period of time after the accident occurred or the injuries were sustained.
And can you give me an idea of ballpark estimate what a relatively short period of time is?
Well, what we like to refer to is the golden hour.
And what does that mean?
The golden hour was a term that was developed back in the early days of emergency medical service. That was basically, it was the statistics and data proved out that if you could have an injured individual that was injured traumatically from the time of injury into the surgical suite within that first hour, their chances of survival would increase greatly.
Okay, and when you say into the surgical suite, there's going to be part of that golden hour is going to be eaten up by transfer to
Yes,
the
sir.
hospital.
Yes, sir.
Response time
Yes,
from the
sir.
initial call. So we don't even have to talk about this case, but in any accident, I mean, if the call goes out 2 seconds later, there's going to be some amount of response time that eats up part of the golden hour, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then once the EMTs get to the scene, there's going to be some amount of time they have to spend putting on the collar and splinting and bandaging the wounds and whatever else they need to do, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then there's going to be transport time to the hospital.
Yes, sir.
And then once they're at the hospital, there's going to be some amount of time in the emergency room and in the intake process, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then what we need to do is get them in that surgical suite within 60 minutes.
Yes, sir.
And strike that.
And she could have done that in plenty of time. Even
That's
with
crazy.
them having to, if she just stopped and they had to get to her, I mean, she should have stopped instead of like, don't choose to drive with them to the hospital in your windshield. But that would have been better than what she did.
Yeah.
But-
She did nothing. She literally did nothing.
But plenty of time with listening to that.
it's-
That's
it's crazy to hear that. And he said that he sustained wounds that were treatable.
Yeah,
If he
just
just
needed,
would have got him help, they were treatable.
and he didn't need anything like right off the bat, like just like CPR, like he didn't quit breathing. He just basic stuff that he needed right after the accident and just take him to the hospital, get him to into surgery.
Yeah,
That's so sad.
it's incredibly sad. It's really inexcusable.
Yes.
Have you reviewed the records to find out how long it would have taken to transfer Mr. Biggs from, say, what's the name of the street?
280.
From the area around 287 and 820, and I think it's Trail Lake. The Village Creek exit to the nearest hospital.
You're talking transport time, sir?
Yes, sir.
About 6 minutes.
Okay. And
6 to 8 is a very fair range.
And given where the fire department is and the various ambulance services, what's the fastest response time you would have had to that area?
To that area, 3 to 4 minutes.
And given your training and expertise, how much time do you think would have had to been spent on the scene, removing him from the vehicle, bandaging his wounds, and stabilizing him enough to move him?
Based on our protocols and our policies that are set forth by our medical director, we have a limited time to achieve these objectives. 10 minutes is what we set as our prime time for this, our allowable time on scene with a multi system trauma. So my professional opinion here would be with the extrication and the extrication and the treatment processes would have been going on simultaneously. So we're probably talking, we would hope for the 10-minute, but my opinion would be 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
Yes, sir.
And just so I'm clear, that's 10 to 15 minutes on the scene once you've arrived.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other period of time that would have been outside that golden hour, other than what we've talked about? Time for you to arrive, time for you to take care of him on the scene, time to get him to the hospital?
No, sir.
All right, well, let me ask you this. In your experience, how long would it have taken once y'all walked through the door of the hospital, 6 to 8 minutes after you left the scene? How much time would it have taken them to get him into the surgical suite?
I do not have a valid opinion on that. That's based on each trauma facility's staffing at the time. I could guess.
What would be your guess?
My guess would be somewhere on the timeline of once the trauma doc recognized the extent of his injuries and the partial amputation, probably no more than about 20 minutes. And that's just a guess.
15 would be on the conservative side. I mean, if they were really pushing it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have you talked to the prosecutors about giving any other opinions in this case or any other testimony?
Yes, sir.
What are they?
My opinion that Mr. Biggs could have been saved on scene.
Okay. And is that what we're talking about? This golden hour and everything we've just talked about?
No, sir. That's aside from that.
Okay. Explain that to me.
My opinion is that with the proper medical techniques applied either at the accident scene or at the house on Wilbarger, Mr. Biggs's life would have not been lost because of the exsanguination or the bleeding out from the wound.
Okay. How long after the infliction of the injuries? I mean, how long after the initial accident would somebody, a properly trained EMT, have had to get to the body?
I think we had considering the partial amputation and from what I've read in the autopsy report, it could have been up to probably 30, 40 minutes.
So if an EMT had either arrived on the scene or walked through the door of the house within 30 to 40 minutes, it's your opinion that the EMT could have sufficiently taken care of Mr. Biggs to save his life?
Yes, sir.
And then that would have given them time to, after that, get him to a trauma center.
Yes, sir.
And I guess there's still a 3 to 4 minute response in that scenario, correct?
Yes, sir.
From the time the call goes out until the time they get there.
Yes, sir.
Is there any difference? Let me ask you this. Is there any gap between the time a 911 call is made and the time that it's communicated to the EMTs that they need to roll? I guess, let me see if I can clarify this. Is that amount of time between the time that someone actually dials 911 on their phone and the time that the EMTs are notified, is that included in the response time?
No, sir. That time period is not covered. Response time goes from the time of dispatch.
Okay, and what is the period of time from the time that someone dials 911 on their phone until the dispatch?
Less than a minute.
Have you been asked about any other opinions or testimony?
No, sir, not that I can recall.
Can I have a second, Your Honor?
You may.
Your Honor, we'll pass him for purposes of this hearing.
You may.
Thank you. We have no more questions.
Fine. Anything further before we bring in the jury? All right, bring in the jury.
I wish they would tell us if things are outside the presence of the jury before we think that he's just questioning everything. And then they're like, okay.
Yeah. What's so weird? They're just like, I'm going to go through this, and this, which is incredibly important information. Go ahead and bring in the jury.
All outside the presence of the jury, which I don't know. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know the rules, but I don't know why anybody would have. I mean, I know why people would object to it because it's horrible for your client. But like,
It's like that movie, Liar, Liar. Settle.
Objection, Your Honor. On what grounds? On grounds that
Is this
damaging
It's
to my clients. They're devastating.
or it's devastating to my case. Oh, I gotta do one more. Wait, 145. Yeah, in your bra. I love that
Grounds.
movie. Anyways,
All
Flash
right.
fan, no, we love that you're modern. Don't let Gabby take over. You tell
It
Gabby
was-
to you give Gabby the
Oh,
boot.
It was just funny.
back up.
I couldn't have planned. You guys, if you tried to plan it, you couldn't have.
Yeah. You guys couldn't do it any better.
Well, they might now. Thanks, Gabby. And your stuff's over here. Sorry, I think I've kind of moved my
Yeah, you're
camera
good. You're good where you're at.
a little bit. I can't tell. I'm still trying to work it out.
So you have Matt's stuff right there.
And Gabby's,
then above that,
certificate.
you have the certification of credibility that you and Mr. Gabby gave her.
which I reread last night, and it's hilarious. I forgot it said. I forgot it said all this.
Read- I don't know.
I
don't
can't
know if
take
the
it
ch-
off the wall.
No, you don't have to take it off the wall. You can take your headset with you.
It won't go that far. I'm very connected.
That's what he said.
You know,
We won't go that far.
all right. Let's bring in the jury, shall we? and redo all this horrible testimony all over again in case you missed it the first time. Here we go.
All right. Counsel for the state, you may call your next witness.
At this time, the state would call Captain Jim Souter.
Let the record reflect this witness been previously sworn. You may continue.
Sir, could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, sir. I am Captain Jim Souter with Fort Worth Fire Department.
Mr. Souter, how long have you been with the Fort Worth Fire Department?
I've been with Fort Worth for 24 years.
What type of educational background or training do you have to be a captain with the Fort Worth Fire Department?
I have associates in fire protection from Tarrant County. I am a licensed paramedic with the state of Texas. I am a Texas Department of Health instructor. I am a Texas Fire Commission master instructor.
What's the last one? What's the master instructor?
I can teach anything, any fire subject or medical subject.
What's your current duty assignment with the Fort Worth Fire Department?
I am the Emergency Medical Services Program Manager.
What job description or what duties does that entail on a daily basis?
I'm responsible for all the initial EMT training or ongoing training that's required every year, and also for paramedic in-service training and additional specialty certifications.
Are you still on the operations side where you still respond to calls in the field?
My position requires me to respond at larger scale events like third alarm fires, hazardous materials incidents, mass casualties where we have a large number of injuries or injured personnel or people. Yes, sir.
With response to the EMS operations, can you explain to the members of the jury in Texas how emergency medical personnel are classified or broken down from the least experienced to the most experienced?
Okay. In the state of Texas, Texas Department of Health has 4 levels basically of certification. We have at the very lowest level is called an emergency care attendant, which is a 40-hour program. This is pretty much the equivalent of a advanced life safety course or advanced first aid course, if you will. Then the next step is the emergency medical technician basic, which is a 160-hour program. It encompasses a lot of clinical experience, not only in emergency rooms, but also in the ambulance service. Also, along with increased education in basic life support, bandaging, splinting, CPR, treating for shock, administering oxygen. The next level is called the Emergency Medical Technician Intermediate. It's a 180-hour course that allows it's the next level up, and it allows these individuals to start intravenous lines or IVs and also do more advanced airway treatments of being able to intubate a patient. And then the highest level of training in the state of Texas is a paramedic, which is 720 hours of education, along with a lot more clinical experience in the emergency rooms, in the the surgery suites, OBGYN, a lot more ambulance rotations, and they are allowed to do everything else and also administer medications or drugs in the field.
What is the minimum standard one has to hold on the operations side of the Fort Worth Fire Department?
That'd be emergency medical technician basic.
Was that also referred to as EMT basic?
Yes, sir.
And from there, do you have people that are at each level, such as yourself, up to paramedic?
Yes, sir. We have various numbers of members throughout the department, but the majority or all members of the department are at least EMT.
And in addition to the Fort Worth Fire Department itself, they're called what would be a first responder, correct?
Yes, sir.
There's also an organization called MedStar here in the city of Fort Worth. Could you explain that to the jury?
MedStar is the contract ambulance transport service here in the city of Fort Worth. We operate hand in hand with them. We are dispatched at the same time they are on life-threatening emergencies.
Are there different levels of dispatch?
No, sir. Or there's different.
Are there different priorities or different assignments given for a dispatch cat stuck in the tree versus a life-threatening injury?
Yes, those are our medical priority dispatches.
Can you explain that to the jury?
There are 5 levels of medical priority dispatches. Priority 1 is the highest priority given to a life-threatening emergency. A priority 2 is a non-life-threatening emergency. Priority 3 is what we call a general medicine type call. Priority 4 is a transfer, and this pertains strictly to the ambulance service. And then there's a priority 5 transport or transfer, if you will.
Are you familiar with an area, Captain Souter, in and around US Highway 287 in Village Creek in Fort Worth?
Yes, sir.
And are you also familiar with the 3800 block of Wilbarger in the city of Fort Worth?
Yes, sir.
Is the city cut up or divided up for your fire stations in the areas they cover?
Yes, we have response boxes. They're called response sectors.
Who is in the response sector for Village Creek?
The primary, what we consider our still alarm, which is for EMS calls and general service calls to the public. That would be engine 22.
Is there a secondary or a backup if 22 is busy?
Yes, sir. That would be either engine 3 or engine 4.
How about the 3800 block of Wilbarger? Primary.
Primary is engine 22.
Backup.
Engine 3, engine 4.
I'd like to pose a hypothetical situation to you, Captain Souter. If somebody were to call 911 or have a passerby call 911 that there was an auto pedestrian accident in and around the off-ramp of Village Creek in 287, or somebody called from a residence in the 3800 block of Wilbarger, auto pedestrian accident, the vehicle's there. What type of response are we going to see from the Fort Worth Fire Department? First, with respect to the call comes into a communication center somewhere, I assume?
Yes.
Is the call dispatched or cut to a particular station?
The call is primarily received at the PSAC, the 911 operator. They will ask what your emergency is, and then it's processed out from there. If it's a medical emergency, they will give it simultaneously to MedStar and fire.
When the fire department's given the call, when they're toned out, if it's at night, what's your protocol for response time?
90 seconds.
90 seconds from what to what?
From the receiving of the tone alarm system at the station, that's when the lights come on and the address is given, to responding on the apparatus.
An apparatus, do you mean the fire truck?
Fire truck.
In the middle of the night, what would be after you get your initial 90 seconds, what's your travel time or your on-scene time to the exit ramp of Village Creek in 287, approximately?
Approximately 4 to 5 minutes.
How about 3800 Wilbarger?
Pretty much the same.
And is that from station 22?
Yes, sir, from 22.
When an engine company arrives on scene, who's in charge of the engine company?
The officer, either a captain or lieutenant.
What are they going to do when they initially arrive on scene?
Initial size up will consist of making sure that the area is safe and secure for the crew to operate in. They will also begin an assessment of what type of situation or scenario that they have going on at the time.
Let's add to this hypothetical that at either the Village Creek or the Wilbarger location, you have a male, 37 years of age, that's gone through the windshield and is now in the vehicle. What's the officer going to do at that point?
The officer will report to the fire alarm office. He will give a size up on the radio. He will, at this time, pretty much put his guys or his crew to work, and they will unload the equipment that's needed to operate. They will give a quick scan. They'll realize it's going to be a medical type call. They were probably dispatched as a medical type call. They will begin patient assessment and patient treatment.
Do they begin patient treatment even before the paramedics and the MedStar unit get there?
Yes, that's our primary responsibility.
I'd like to add to that hypothetical and pose what the officer might size up as the external trauma to this individual. First, that they have a compound fracture of the distal right humerus proximal to the elbow with a large stellate laceration along the dorsal surface measuring 1.5 inches. Second, a simple comminuted fracture along the right femur, 23.5 inches above the heel, with the superficial gliding abrasions along the adjacent lateral thigh covering a surface 3 inches by 2 inches. Third, a simple comminuted fractures of distal right tibia and fibula, 5.5 inches above the right heel, with an overlaying contusion measuring 1.5 inches by 1 inch. And a near traumatic amputation of the left leg with compound comminuted fractures of the proximal left tibia and fibula, 15 inches above the left heel, with an avulsion and maceration of soft tissues. How would an officer that's in charge of that engine company go about finding out those injuries and the initial size up?
With the situation presented, the near amputation would be pretty obvious. The blood and the open fractures or the compound fractures that they're listed here would have a tendency to bleed. The officer would be able to pretty much assess this from just observing the scene. Prior to doing any further assessment on the patient, we'd take some precautionary actions of applying a cervical immobilization collar, which is a collar that keeps the neck in line to avoid any paralysis. We'd also assess the ABCs of the airway, the breathing and circulation, to make sure that the patient was not compromised in any of these fields. And then we would start assessing for other injuries that were not quite so obvious, like feeling of the arms, the legs, the extremities, the stomach, the chest wall.
With an engine company, there's 3 or 4 people on board the company, correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you all working in concert together, or are you completing one of these steps you've talked about, then going to the next step?
These individuals are trained to work as a team, and they are working in concert with each step that's required to achieve the overall patient care.
Are you beginning?
If you give yourself a seizure on camera,
Oh, you didn't like that?
I'm going to ground you. Stop it.
Oh, I just missed it.
It's all
I
fun
like
until
this
somebody
segment.
seizes. If his Carmen, you better what? Like, stop it.
About what?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You better stop. Stop it.
Dop it is what it is. Dop it. That's what I used to say because I couldn't say stop. I'd say dop.
Right, meow.
What? Meow.
Okay, so this guy's leg is almost amputated,
It's pretty much severed.
which how in the world did he survive for so long if that's the case? Because
Well, it depends where it's severed at.
I guess, yeah, you just think the blood loss would be
Well, again,
A
it
lot.
depends where it's at. I mean, you have one of your main arteries that go up through your inner thigh. You sever that, and you're in
right, it's
trouble.
over.
That one's just like I think actually that one acts faster than the carotid.
It's
Like
it's
you're in trouble.
you're over. Yeah.
But what a lot of people think would be like a gruesome scene. I don't know why I'm echoing so much. I don't know if that's echoing to you guys, but in
Not to
my
me.
headphones, it's echoing really bad. you would think it'd be like a gruesome crime scene and like things that I've been to, and there really isn't a lot of blood.
Well, there was
It's just-
here.
There is, but like the body can do some things.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. Flashman says your sound is good.
Thank you.
Gabby says, Karma, meh, it's not bad. I'm
Shut
glad,
up.
Lavi, that you took that since Carmen's over there trying to trigger people.
Oh, I will too. I'll sit here and flash through the
No, do not do that.
We will.
It's not going to be funny when you fall over and bash your face.
I'm taking my seizure medication. I'm fine.
Famous last words. One of these days it'll be famous last words of YouTubers.
Yeah. I'll take my seizure medication. We will.
Shortly after, Carmen fell out of her chair and hit her head and never woke up.
I'd be more pissed if I spilled my beer. I
Ah,
thought you were going to be transported somewhere. What's happening?
we were going to
I
go
can
for a
make
ride.
Yeah, I can make my backlights do that too.
It's like, I thought we were on Cops.
We're on cops.
All right. Back to this.
It's got dark. Welcome to the channel.
Here we go.
And to stabilize the patient as soon as you get there.
Yes, sir.
Once MedStar arrives on scene, what are they able to add to your on-scene stabilization?
MedStar will be able to provide any advanced airway if necessary with being able to intubate the patient. But more importantly, in this type of injury here, they would be able to provide intravenous fluid resuscitation or IV, if you will, to replace the blood loss.
With Fort Worth, are there set protocols for on-scene time? How long you want to be there for an extrication?
We have a set a policy or protocol, if you will, for on-scene time for traumatic injuries of this nature, for extrication and treatment if possible, and that's 10 minutes.
Prior to you testifying today, you've had a chance to review Dr. Caruani's autopsy report, correct?
Yes, sir.
Had a chance to look at his autopsy photos, the complete set,
Yes, sir.
and view photos of Miss Mallard's 97 Cavalier, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not the folks that you have trained at Station 22 would have been able to provide Mr. Biggs life-saving treatment?
Yes, sir. I have an opinion.
What is that opinion?
My opinion is there's not a member of the Fort Worth Fire Department that could not have saved Mr. Biggs' life with basic life support care.
In respect to number 4, let's go in backwards order. The officer's there. He's on scene. He's got his team working in concert. What are you going to do for that amputation, near traumatic amputation?
We're going to what's called pad the bone ends where you have open bones sticking through the skin. We're going to start applying as much direct pressure as possible to control the bleeding. We will splint the bones of the leg in place and immobilize the fracture to avoid any further injuries.
How about for the other fractures that are listed up there?
The non-open or the simple comminuted fractures will be splinted in place. We'll make sure that they have good blood flow and neurological, where there's no neurological deficit or nerve damage. We will splint them in place. Again, with the number 1, the compound or an open fracture, we have to protect the bone ends and avoid any further damage. We will also apply direct pressure, splint those in place too.
Would you consider this what the term in the business is, a load and go situation?
Yes, sir.
Once the individual like Mr. Biggs in this hypothetical would have been put in the MedStar unit, are they transported to a particular hospital?
So this type of injury.
So things that I've experienced with this, that is super freaking painful for the patient. It is we're wrapping and we're stabilizing and we're going. I don't have enough time to give you pain meds. I don't have enough time to do any of that. We're going to contort and push these things how they need to be, and we're going.
The thing is, he
Incredibly
probably would
painful.
have been just fine with that. Like, I don't care.
Incredibly
Just
painful. Yeah, that was my point to it. Was incredibly painful for the patient, but you live. Like, the pain will go away. Once you get to the hospital, they will give you pain medicine. You will feel better. You'll be able to walk again, talk again, breathe again, in his case.
be
And
alive.
Exactly, be alive. And she didn't do any of that. So, like, yes, I understand this is a gruesome thing. And from my experience, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not an EMT. I am a certified first responder, but we're going to contort your body into ways that most people will be like, why are you doing that? No, it's to save your life. And she didn't even give him that opportunity.
Nope. And you're
which
probably
is
right,
sad. I mean,
Gabby. Sorry, Carmen.
no, go ahead.
But his adrenaline he just got thrown through a windshield. I mean,
And that's the other thing with a lot of these cases, as like things that I have personally been on, is their adrenaline is going and pumping so hard that they're fine. Like they don't feel it. Like there was one that I literally took and I snapped his bone back into place and he didn't feel it
gross.
because his adrenaline was going. He felt it after. Like once he got to the hospital, he was like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "Sorry." But it needed to be done because it was pushing right on like that main vein, and I needed it to go the other direction. And yeah, he's too amped up to even feel anything. They could have moved him and he wouldn't have even felt it at this point. But like Carmen said, he did. Yeah, they didn't even give him a chance. Never even gave him a single chance. Which it's very disappointing and it's very sad. That's all I want.
I don't blame you, Frank. Also, I like your new profile picture. You look very nice. Like I
You
can
look hot.
see your face. Not that I couldn't in the other one, but I can see it better in this one.
You look hot. You want to be my baby daddy?
Oh gosh, what are you doing?
I'm making that credibility go.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yep. That's the saddest part is that he could have looked and she just didn't.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Absolutely. And Carmen, yes, please.
You're welcome, Frank. Not for Carmen's comment though.
You can be my baby daddy if you want.
Yeah, Carmen, you can't take away my credibility. There's a plaque behind right there. Says otherwise. Nice try though. Thank you.
True. That is very, very true.
I have proof. I have proof now.
Whatever. I'm gonna mute my camera for a second because I have to eat my dinner. People get weird about that.
Okie dokie. Well, enjoy. I'm gonna hit play.
You want to go to a trauma facility, either a level 1 or level 2 trauma facility.
In the Metroplex, is there a computer system that if John Peter Smith or Harris downtown is overflowing with patients, that you're diverted or rerouted?
They will not reroute trauma.
You get to come in regardless.
Yes, sir.
Is there any communication from the MedStar rig that's transporting a patient to the hospital to the doctors that are there in the trauma room?
Yes, sir.
What are they talking about at that time?
They are giving a patient report for the physicians to be able to put the requisite trauma team, whether it be thoracic, cardiovascular, or whatever the case may be, on standby and getting them geared up to receive this type of trauma patient in. They're going to give the doc a pretty good picture of what they're bringing in, what type of injuries the patient has.
There's a term of art in your business called the golden hour. Could you explain that to the jury?
The golden hour was came about, was developed back in the late 70s, early 70s, with when the advent of EMS first come to light. We came to realize through studies, university studies, and patient outcomes that from the time the injury is sustained to being in a surgical suite, if that time was less than 1 hour, the survivability increased greatly with the patient. So that's the term where the golden hour comes from.
And does the engine company working in concert with the paramedics, working in concert with the surgeons via communication systems aid in extending that golden hour?
It helps us achieve the golden hour or less.
Captain Souter, in your 24 years with the Fort Worth Fire Department, have you had an opportunity to meet or work with any of Miss Mallard's relatives?
Yes, sir, I have.
And who was that?
Jane.
Objection, relevance.
Sustained. You ready to approach, Your Honor?
It's her brother. Just spoiler alert, in case he doesn't get to answer the question. It's her brother. Her brother was a lieutenant with the Fort Worth Fire Department. So there you go.
Judge, if it's okay with you, we can turn the lights back up. Captain Souter, you said before you're familiar with one of her family members. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Who is that?
That's Lieutenant James Mallard.
How do you know Mr. Mallard?
Mr. Mallard and I have worked together at a station before, and I've known him professionally on the job.
You've been a supervisor before, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you, as the director of the EMT program, you've trained him, correct?
I've been responsible for some of his training, yes, sir.
You said you know James Mallard. Is he a firefighter?
He's a lieutenant with the fire department, yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know approximately how long he's been with the fire department?
Approximately 12 to 15 years.
In preparation for your testimony here today, did you have an occasion to look at some records involving where Mr. or Lieutenant Mallard may have been quartered during the time frame we're talking about in this case?
Yes, sir, I have.
What is his quarters or his duty post?
He is stationed Station 10 on Hemphill Street as a engine lieutenant.
Thursday, October 25th, 2001, going into Friday morning, October 26, 2001, do the records in the City of Fort Worth Fire Department indicate that Lieutenant Mallard was on duty?
Yes, sir, they do.
Based on your review of the records, does it appear that he may have even been in quarters that night?
As best I can recall, yes.
Do the individual fire stations have phone numbers that are direct dial to the stations?
Yes, sir, they do.
Captain Souter, do you have a
Not that this wasn't bad enough, but her brother was working that night and she could have called him directly. It just gets worse. There's nothing here that makes this better. Except maybe when the men in this trial stop whistling and blowing our ears out. That'll be better. But anyways.
professional opinion as to whether or not Lieutenant James Mallard possesses the capabilities to render the aid that was necessary to save Greg Biggs in this situation if called?
Yes, sir.
What is that opinion?
I'm of the opinion that Lieutenant Mallard could have saved Mr. Biggs' life.
Thank you. I'll ask the witness.
Captain Souter?
Yes, sir.
James, can you stand up? This is James Mallard right here sitting next to Chante's parents.
Yes, sir.
Okay. He's her brother, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
Can I step down and get the pad?
You may.
All right, Kevin, I want to start with the golden hour.
Yes, sir.
Okay? I'm gonna go ahead and apologize to you because my writing is absolutely illegible, but I'm gonna do my best here, okay?
Just don't make me right.
I guess the first question is kind of obvious. That's 60 minutes, right?
Yes, sir.
And what you told us is that if you can get somebody with traumatic injuries from the into the operating room, that means from the time that the injuries are inflicted into the operating room in 60 minutes, you got a pretty good chance of saving them, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, part of that 60 minutes is going to be the time from when the initial 911 call goes into where it's received to when it's routed to you guys, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's under a minute,
Yes, sir.
correct?
By the way, even the markers are whistlers. Like, can there just be one thing that does not have a high-pitched noise to it? My goodness.
Then, and I'm gonna kind of put all this together. I think you justified that in this case, it would have been 4 to 5 minutes response time.
Yes, sir.
And that would have been the time from when the call center buzzed, or whatever word it was used, buzzed you guys and said, we got this call.
Yes,
4 to 5 minutes later, they would have either been on the road or at 3840 Wilbar.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna call that response. Now, the next thing would happen was they would have had to, you got plenty there?
Yes, sir.
Next thing would happen is once they got to the scene, they would have had to do all this stuff that you testified about, bandage the wounds and splint him and put him in the collar and all that, right?
Yes, sir.
And I think that would have been, what, 10 to 15 minutes?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna call that on scene, okay?
Yes, sir.
Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we got 6 to 8 minutes to transfer him from either of these possible scenes to a hospital somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna call that transfer. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Is somebody's ferret?
Okay. Then once he gets to the hospital, they're gonna take some amount of time to figure out what the deal is and physically get him into the operating room.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's gonna be what? Generously, approximately 15 minutes?
Probably so. Yes, sir.
Yes, that's him writing. Did you mute me?
I did.
I knew I was unmuted. But yes, that's him writing. That's like everything. Freaking Newman from Seinfeld. Did you hear that guy pour his water?
Yeah.
It made me laugh.
I was like, man, it's gonna rub bad if I'm off screen and someone's pouring some water right now. It's not me peeing. That's the courtroom.
I was just thinking liar, liar when he was pouring the water.
Oh, come on.
All right.
Getting to my case.
Oh,
If you look at the screen, it looks like it says golden or golden hoe. I know it doesn't, but it looks like it says golden hoe.
yes. The witness feels relieved. Thank God my sound isn't that bad after all.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm watching a basketball game. It is.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. It totally says golden hoe.
I knew it.
60 minutes. Is that like that's that's how long she lasts? Never
She's
mind.
lasting 60 minutes.
I'm hitting play.
She's gonna exhaust me.
Wow. Gross.
I'm gonna call that in hospital. Okay, so we'll just take this minute out. Let's say it's under a minute. If you take the minimum here, that's 4. The minimum here, that's 10, 14. Minimum here, that's 6, so that'd be 20. And then the minute approximate there, 15. That's 35 minutes of the golden hour.
Yes, sir.
And thus, under the golden hour, the call would have had to go out within 25 minutes. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's 25 minutes from the time of impact to somebody dialing 911 on the phone.
Yes, sir.
Got a couple of exhibit stickers.
What's your point, Newman? She never called 911. If it was 25 minutes, 25 hours, she never did anything. Yeah, send it. Put some exhibit pictures on there. Send it back to the jury. Good for you.
All right, Captain, I've now marked this chart as Defendant's Exhibit 10. Is this a fair summary of the testimony you've just given about the golden hour?
Yes, sir.
Have I misquoted you or misconstrued anything you said on here?
No, sir.
This time we'll offer Defense Exhibit 10, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor. All right, defense exhibit number 10 will be admitted.
Now I want to talk to you. You gave the ultimate opinion that if somebody from your department had gotten there, that could have saved his life.
Yes, sir.
Correct? And I think it was your prior testimony that they would have had to get there somewhere in 30 to 40 minutes, correct?
Best guess.
If somebody had gotten there in 30 to 40 minutes, could have done what they're trained to do and save Mr. Biggs' life. Now, out of that 30 to 40 minutes, we're going to have 4 to 5 minutes of response time, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we've also got, let me back up, less than 1 minute for the call. And then we've got 4 to 5 minutes for response.
Yes, sir.
Are you sign languaging me again with baseball
No.
signals?
I'm not. I'm saying pen, paper. Pen, paper. I don't need your freaking chalkboard, squeaky, dry eraser, whatever you're using, Sharpie, pen, paper.
Wait, but the jurors might not be allowed to take notes.
That's stupid. I'm gonna go give that judge a piece of my mind.
The squeak isn't from the whiteboard. It's yes, that's on paper. That is the marker on the paper. I think Ash is correct. I think he's pushing too
Pushing.
hard. Like
We'll get this case right.
the golden
Yeah.
hoe.
I'm the golden hoe. I will get this case right. Your bitch ass is going to jail.
I mean,
That's what he's trying to do. But like, calm down, man. Calm down, Tony man. We'll get there. Also, stop trying to make us do math.
yeah, we don't do math.
Yeah. Hopefully the female jurors aren't scared of rats. Exactly.
Yeah, well, oh my gosh. Yes, that is true. They don't allow note taking, which I've never agreed with. But I don't think this one really needed it. Whoosh the hoop. Oh my gosh. This is awful. Not only do we have this horrible squeaking sound, whistling attorneys and witnesses, he's making a dumb argument.
He is making a stupid argument.
Like he's proving her guilt.
Yeah. Like, whose side are you on? Squeaky Man?
He's like, I don't know.
I
Not
don't
the
know.
markers.
He's like, I'm gonna get casted on Seinfeld. So
That's
I
gonna
don't
be
care.
that's gonna be the next trial we watch is his abuse of magic markers.
yeah. So bad. So
I
bad.
didn't, I didn't get to grip my main vein this morning. I must take the anger out on this marker. Anger on this marker.
Video that we watched showed
Yeah, he's sitting there like, my wife didn't make waffles this morning. I asked for waffles and I got eggs. Marker.
It's like trying to watch. I just saw enough of clips to know I didn't want to. It's like watching an NBA game during the coup where they didn't have any crowds. All you could hear was their shoes going up and down the court. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Especially like they're in the vid time.
Yeah.
Nobody could be in there. Just
Squeak, 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 squeak.
which it does. It does help the basketball players. I used to play basketball. It does.
No, I
help to
get that,
stop.
but this is horrible.
Yeah,
much
this
more?
is I really hope not that one.
All right, less than 10 minutes of this witness.
Perfect.
So hopefully he's almost done proving his client's guilt.
I feel bad for his wife when he goes home. Hopefully he got his frustration out on that board.
He goes home, draws on her face with a marker.
I said waffles.
Maybe.
She might be. You took more out on that marker than you did me. I've been waiting for that for 20 years. And you just took it off on this dry erase board and this marker.
That's not a dry erase board. That's a huge pad of paper.
I know what it is. I just don't know what to call it.
A huge pad of paper. He called it the pad. So I was like,
You took more out on that pad than I have ever taken out on my pad. We can make this go south real quick. Let's play.
I will. Thank you so much.
So ultimately, if the call had gone out anywhere from 25 minutes to 36 minutes. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
The call had gone out within anywhere under 25 to 36 minutes, then your people could have gotten there and saved Mr. Biggs.
This case.
In my chicken scratch, I've now written this case on the top, and you can kind of read it. Is this inaccurate? Well, hang on. I'm gonna mark this as defendant's exhibit. I'm gonna mark myself as defendant's exhibit 11. Then I'm gonna mark this as defendant's exhibit 11.
Judge, I have no objection if he wants to mark himself as that.
I guess I mean I couldn't go home.
Brenda may have done it.
I've now marked this chart as defendant's exhibit 11. Does this fairly and accurately represent what your opinion testimony in this case?
Yes, sir.
Have I in any way misconstrued anything you said?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll offer defendant's exhibit 11.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Defense Exhibit 11 will be admitted.
No further questions, Your Honor.
I have to say, I use that as for my. I think maybe he is.
Captain, this golden hour, the defense just drew up here on the court. Are you saying that it goes 59 minutes, 59 seconds? If the person's not in the surgical suite, they die?
No, sir.
What are you saying?
I'm saying the survivability increases within the 60 minutes.
It increases significantly, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's what the study from the East Coast brought about in the early days.
Yes, sir.
Have you faced the injuries that I gave you in a hypo in the field before in your professional career?
Yes, sir, I have.
Have you been able to save those individuals?
We've had success. Yes, sir. I have.
in the hypo that I gave you before, what are the odds of survival if the injured party, the injured person, the patient, is taken to an area where no medical aid can be given?
Objection. Withdraw that, Your Honor. Sorry.
You can answer. What are the odds if they're taken to an area where no medical aid can be given?
Objection, Your Honor. He's not qualified to give that answer.
Overruled.
Would you repeat the question, please?
If a person that has gone through the windshield, that's exhibited the injuries of external trauma that were listed on the screen, is taken to an area where no medical aid can be given, what are the odds of survival?
0.
Would it take an EMT to save this person's life?
What would it take?
Would it take an emergency medical technician to apply pressure or a tourniquet?
No.
Would somebody with basic life-saving skills?
Objection, Your Honor. That's outside. That's asking for speculation outside his field of expertise.
Shall I take this witness on voir dire?
No, Your Honor.
All right, overruled.
Would a person with basic life-saving skills be able to apply either pressure or, in worst case scenario, a tourniquet to the near amputation of that left leg in the hypo?
Yes, sir, they would.
Would that greatly increase this hypothetical person's odds of survival?
Yes, sir, it would.
Would that increase the time frame that you would look at for the golden hour and the on-scene response times that defense counsel has put on his 2 exhibits on the easel?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Captain. Pass the witness.
Captain Souter,
Yes, sir.
in your career, have you ever been around somebody that was on a combination of ecstasy, marijuana, and alcohol?
I'm sure I have. I just wasn't aware of that was a combination.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
We asked this witness to be excused to go about his business.
What kind of dumb question was that?
This whole segment has just been a roller coaster of stupid statements.
That was horrible. I'd be like, ineffective counsel.
Yeah.
He asked dumb questions. Wow, we actually have closed captionings again.
What's up, Ronnie? How did she say it? Ronnie Potita?
Potita.
Oh,
Bonita.
no.
Senorita Bonita. Potita.
Potita.
That's probably
It's the
something
same
bad.
thing.
Hey, Ronnie. Potita's probably bad.
Whatever it is.
Something
I
like
don't know.
that.
I got squeaky markers in my ears. This guy's wife is mad because he's circling areas that he's never circled on her. I don't even know what's happening in life at this moment.
Yeah. Nobody knows.
What's up?
Hello, Candace. Oh, she's got to go.
Welcome. What's up?
Carmen, she's not a potato. A potato. What the heck am I? A potato.
Potato.
Potato. Whatever. A potita.
It's a potita.
I don't know what that means. I like her.
No, I
Get
like your
a
profile
picture.
picture. Welcome. I don't know if you've ever been here before. So I'm a spawn of AJ. I am not a 12-year-old boy. No matter what people think, I'm actually a 30-year-old female, and I'm her daughter. I get confused when I look in the mirror. So it's okay. You're welcome.
That's what you called her.
I meant every word.
Oh, his name is Spooky. Oh,
Aw, that's cute.
very cute.
Or the woman of the streets. I meant every word, Ronnie. I never back down.
Yeah, Ronnie doesn't believe you. Good thing Adair's not here.
I know.
He would be
Did you ever seen somebody cast into like the hell of fire? That would be
You would
me
just
right now.
disappear. Remember when Gabby thought you were in transport
Yeah.
somewhere earlier? That would
Yep.
be, but that's not what she said. She said putita.
That means a mother.
I probably
Blank,
should stop
blank,
saying it
blank.
'cause I don't know what it means. But anyway, all right. So we've got Dr. something.
Dr. Yeah, I don't know. It's Raymond. I'm gonna call him Raymond S. He is a emergency medical physician.
What's up, Danny T? How are you doing?
What's up? I literally called Ronnie a potato.
I did. I called her a potato because that's how I have
Potato.
never said potato. I've never said potato in my life. Why I read it that way today, I don't know.
It's fine.
Yes, you're
But
correct.
if I'm not mistaken, what's popping up on my phone,
What's
we
up,
do
Sue?
have a Bakerade.
We do have a Bakerade.
What's up, Baconators?
How you doing,
Get
Sue?
in. Bakerrators. I saw that you guys were watching, I think, who
So
was it?
side eye. Sorry.
Brandon Isabel. I think that's what you guys were just watching. It seemed pretty spicy. What we're watching, we do older trials here. So this is from 2003. So we are also watching a pretty spicy one. We are watching the Chante Mallard trial from Fort Worth, Texas in 2003, where she had a hit and run. But she took the victim home with her because he was in her windshield.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
What's up, Fed? Yeah, that's YouTube's lame.
Yeah,
I am not
But-
drinking.
I
have
am.
water.
That's why I can't pronounce words. But hello, everyone. Hope you guys stick around. If you do not want to stick around, please hit that like and subscribe button. Because we are always here for you, and it means a lot for our channel. But other than that, I'm gonna let my mom go ahead and take this away and say hello to some people.
What's up, Baker? I was gonna say, I think you said everything that I was gonna say.
All right.
So thank you so much. Appreciate it. I will tell you one thing about this trial. It's dark and there's no pictures or anything like that. We have seen some trials that have shown some pictures. The most annoying thing, this is not like every man in this trial has a whistle when he speaks, when he testifies. I don't know what it is. It sounds like a fire alarm or a smoke detector which the batteries that are going dead in them that chirps every few minutes. That's what it sounds like. So I apologize in advance. And but everything, wow, thank you, John Gary. Who got those? The other Jules, Loopy Lass, Ms. Holmes 66, Hamilton, and just another Aussie. All got memberships from John Gary. So make sure if you are one of the lucky ones to receive that you thank John Gary. Thank you so much.
What's up, Sue? I missed you the other day. I was like, Sue, I need you to come talk some shit real quick. And I think you're a little busy, but it would have been freaking funny if you did. But what's up, everyone?
Yes, welcome everyone. And no, she did not technically, well, she did run. She just carried him with her in her car.
So the other thing with this case is, the defendant is 25 at the time. The victim was 37. He was a homeless man. She was on some E or X, whatever you would want to call it, illegal substance. Had also been drinking and then smoked some Mary Jane. And so she hit him. He went through her windshield, got stuck. And she went by the fire station, the police station, a hospital, several different 24-hour payphones, and decided, The best option here is to take him home with me while he's screaming and begging for his life and park him in my garage. That was her. That's what she did. And it took him 2 to 3 days to actually pass away. Then she took it a step further by getting him out of the vehicle with the help of some friends that we've heard testify and dumped him in a park thinking, oh, they'll just think that he got the crap kicked out of him. No. There's
sorry, I didn't mean.
no blood, nothing. Like, as dumb as police may be, and I can say that because I've done police work for over 10 years, so I can say that one. They're not stupid. Exactly. Who does that?
I
And
don't know.
then-
I can't even get to a point where I can even try to think like she was thinking. I get
don't
being
know.
scared. I get all that. But the next day, you're clear-minded. You're clear-headed. All that stuff is gone out of your system. And you should be thinking, I have to do something.
Yeah, I mean, she went out there and was literally talking to him. So she says, and was like, I'm so sorry, as he is moaning and groaning, begging for her to go get some help. And then,
Yep.
so we just heard from the captain of the fire station, which was Jim Souders. He even said, with his training and experience and his first responder experience, if they would have got him help, he would have lived.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
He was
stayed
in the garage the whole time, in the
whole
windshield.
time. Yes, stuck in the
He
windshield.
was in the
head
windshield.
down. Like stuck.
So
Baker said something that I gotta.
What?
I said Baker said something that I think. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. That's what happens when both of us are.
Saw the video. Why can't we cut from it? I don't support shit. I'm just
Wow.
kidding. I don't know why you can't tag me. I think I have my stuff turned off. I know I have everything on Do Not Disturb.
So yeah, that's what we're looking at. Yeah, well, they're both. So she called her friend T. So Chante and T were both nurses, aides. They worked in a nursing home. She'd been out with T that night. Did you already say all this?
No,
'Cause I
I
was
didn't
reading
say
chat.
that
Okay.
they were. No, I didn't say that they were on top of all of this that's been happening. They also had training and experience as they were nursing assistants.
And she called T back to her house to pick her up. So T comes over and she picks Chante up. Chante's the defendant. And Chante just comes out and is like, just drive, just leave. Like, we got to go. Like, something's wrong. Like, she didn't know what was happening. So they're driving around. She tells T what happened. And T doesn't believe her. So they come back to the house. They go in the garage. T sees the guy in the windshield. And she looks at Chante and says, you need to do something about this. T didn't call 911. And the defense was like, well, did you think that he was like had passed away? Well, who cares? There's still a man in her windshield and you did nothing. I don't know.
Yeah.
She had to get a deal. I couldn't find out. I
couldn't
tried to
find
find
it.
it and I could not because she didn't do anything and she knew about it.
Yeah, she even. I don't remember if you saw. I was texting. I don't know if you said this or not. She literally walked out into the garage, saw him there, and still didn't call 911. But if you go back, so we got videos with this. If you guys ever want to go back and watch, T. Fry's testimony, and she had to have taken a deal. They don't come out and flat out say it, but they definitely hint to it.
Yeah, she had to get something. So yes, whoever yes, on the CNA would be CPR and first aid
Mhm.
trained. And I'm sorry, I was reading chat, so if I repeat something, I apologize. Her brother was a lieutenant in the fire department. The witness that just got off the stand the captain, they worked together at that fire department. He was working that night, and she could have directly called him, Chante could have directly called him to get help. She didn't.
Yeah, her brother, not the captain. Her brother was
She
working.
didn't. And so
Either
the last
one. But
testimony that we heard, it was basically, if she would have done this, she was within 6 miles, but less than 10 minutes from 2 hospitals and 2 police stations. She passed a 24-hour gas station, because remember, it's 2003, so not everybody had cell phones yet. And then she passed a ton of payphones. It did nothing. So she had a ton of help around her, and this was like, nope, see you later. And well, not see you later. I guess I'll just come back out and see you in a little while. But
yeah,
I mean, to keep going out there and keep talking to him, and the defense has painted her like, well, she was so upset. She cried all the time. She went out and she apologized to him. He was begging her to get him help. And she just was like, "Oh, I can't," and scared.
yeah. Oh, they're trying to sit here and say, oh, well, because she was under the influence. I don't care if you were under the influence. You shouldn't have been driving in the first place. You just took a son away from people. And not only did you take a son away, you took a father. Because even though he was homeless at the time, he was still a father.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was a choice. Exactly.
Absolutely horrible way to go. The pain, I can't imagine, excuse me, the pain that man was in for those days.
Oh,
Hey, Shay.
it had to have been absolutely agonizing. So, who we're going to get to next, I'm really, really bad at pronouncing names. So, I'm going to let him pronounce his own last name. But it's going to be, I call him Dr. Raymond S. because I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But he's a emergency medicine physician. So, that's who we're going to hear from next. But yes, this trial, it's a crazy one. Some of these people that I've heard testify already, I'm like, I'm gonna have a brain aneurysm. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and it's sad when the first responders, they all have shown more emotion than the people that were directly involved in this so far.
Yeah. The only one that we've really seen emotion from was the firefighter that he just so happened to be at the park strength training, and 2 males walked up to him and was like, "Hey, there's a dead body over there." When they made him see the footage and stuff, like you could tell, like he was choking tears back.
I thought there was, when the captain was just going through kind of the things, I thought there was a time he seemed like he got a little bit upset just for a second, and then the defense came up with their squeaky freaking magic markers and absolutely just sealed her deal, just sealed her guilt. I don't understand that questioning.
Yeah.
I don't
Side-eye
know.
says,
Sorry. I get it, John, but it's like she did nothing. She didn't, I guess, as a human.
she saw him hanging out the windshield and she still did not call 911. He was still alive.
Yeah.
And she
So,
still didn't call 911.
I mean, I see his point. Maybe she didn't commit a
See your
crime.
point.
I just, as a human,
Right. I
it's
was
like,
gonna go. Yeah. I was gonna go up to. I just passed it. I keep passing it. Sorry, I don't have my mouse with me. My dad was homeless before I found out and made him come live with us. I would have been devastated to find out something like this happened to him. Yeah. And that's how his son found out. That's how Greg Biggs' son. What's his name? Is it?
that's its name. Greg
No,
Biggs.
What's his
I don't know
son's
the
name?
son's name.
I think it's Brendan or something. I could be completely off on that. That's who he found out. That is literally how he found out. Was his dad was hit by a car, and then on top of that, his dad could have been saved, but he wasn't. And they dumped him to make it look like he had been beaten to death. That would be horrifying. What's up, Tracy Dean?
Hey, Tracy. Good to see you. I'm with you,
Good.
Sue. For me, I couldn't do that. And absolutely, Frank, it can happen to any one of us at any time. Yeah, she
Yeah.
did. Yeah, they did. Did they go out the night after?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But we're going to go ahead and push play on this to see what the emergency medicine physician has to say. Obviously, keep things somewhat civil in the chat. I'm not going to ban anything.
And I'm
Um,
not either. In spite of what you may have heard
I
my
give my
daughter
mom a
say
hard
about
time.
me, like I'm not.
You're
I
not a Nazi?
approve messages before. Well, I was going to say that. Dang. I approve messages before Carmen does, if I can get to him before Gabby does. Gabby approves them very quickly. Carmen will sit on them. Be
Yeah,
like,
but
maybe.
we recommend the banter in the chat. Honestly, when we're dealing with such horrible crimes and such horrible cases, you guys having a friendly banter in the chat, roasting each other and giving each other a hard time brings a little bit of humor, and like, not that it's bringing humor to the trial because we don't want that, but it helps us digest such a horrible trial. Is it feds or is it?
It's Federist. I can always say it. It's Fed. He's fine with
Okay.
that. It's
So, Feds.
2003.
Yep. Hey, I have my gamer tag with Call of Duty is definitely not the feds with a wink face. I hope that's
No
I
hair
hope that's what
pulling.
yours is. Yeah, no hair pullers, but
Basically,
do it,
have to be
I
worse
don't
than
care.
Zach and
Good luck.
Oh no. Lesko isn't here, so you have no one's hair to pull. Darn.
Oh. Un momento, por favor.
He's probably sleeping.
He's
All right, here we
probably
go.
sleeping. He's had a long day. All right, let's go with this one.
Solemnly swear or affirm testimony about to give the cause now pending before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, have a seat there and print your name on that pad. Pull the microphone up close so everybody can hear you. Counselor, you may continue.
That's you.
Call your next
Oh.
witness.
We call Dr. Ray Swinton.
Doctor, can you spell your name into the record for me?
Yes, sir. Last name is Swinton. First name is Raymond. Middle initial E.
Okay. What do you do for a living, doctor?
I'm an emergency physician.
Where?
At John Peter Smith, I'm the interim chairman of emergency medicine, and I'm also faculty at UT Southwestern.
How long you been at JPS?
Since February of 2002,
Okay, what'd you do before that?
I was currently in faculty over at UT Southwestern
Okay, and how long you been with UT Southwestern?
since 1999.
How long you been a doctor?
Since I entered medical school in 85 and residency in 89, and have been in emergency medicine practicing since 92.
I assume you've talked to the prosecutors about what you're going to testify about today.
Yes, sir.
Can you kind of summarize it for me?
Yes, sir. In being here, I'd like to describe the medical condition based on the injuries as I understand them. Some of the, hopefully answering the questions that would be addressed if this patient had come into the emergency department, some of the things we may have done, how we would have approached it from emergency medicine, and then to assess whether or not that I think that he would have survived those injuries as I saw them.
Okay, and what did you review before you came to court today to make this assessment?
I saw the autopsy reports, and I've seen some of the photographs,
And are those autopsy photographs or other photographs?
autopsy photographs.
Okay. Have you seen anything else other than the autopsy pictures?
No, sir.
The first part of it, you said his medical condition based on his injuries. Can you tell me what your opinion is about that?
Regarding what I saw in the autopsy report, that a gentleman after blunt trauma had sustained multiple extremity injuries as really the only potential for immediate life-threatening conditions that were present.
Okay. What were those multiple extremity injuries?
Well, I may not be able to recall in detail because there were many injuries and many bruises, but particularly dominant was the right side of his body, including a broken arm that also had soft tissue injuries. His right thigh, his femur area, and his lower right leg were broken. In addition, he had what was described in the autopsy report, if I recall correctly, as a near amputation of his lower left leg. In addition, there were multiple other areas of bruising or contusion and abrasion.
Okay. And you said,
Okay, so if it feels like we jumped right into the middle of his testimony, they keep bringing these witnesses in outside the presence of the jury. They don't say that. And then this is the defense. I think that was the defense attorney asking this guy questions, and then they'll bring the jury back in and we'll get to hear it all over again. And then that S sound will really pick up. You know, whoever, it's like a double-edged sword because it, they can borrow yours. The nice thing about these old trials is the audio is always really good, but it also is like it picks all that up too. And sometimes it's too good. Yeah, that thing. So I believe this is outside the presence of the jury. So that's why there wasn't a whole lot of his formalities and training and all that other stuff.
you had an opinion as to what would have happened when he got to JPS if he had been brought there?
It is my opinion that he would have arrived with sustainable vital signs and would have been resuscitated successfully in the emergency department.
And what else would they have done to him?
Well, there's a multitude of possibilities depending upon the condition that he arrived. It would have involved protecting him, going over from a life-threatening potential, other injuries that may be present, and other organ systems of his body would have been assessed beyond his extremity injuries, which would have been obvious. And then the need or not need for an operative intervention, additional consultations, and obvious likely admission to the hospital for continued care.
Given the fact that his lower left leg was nearly amputated and his right leg was broken in at least 2 places,
Yes, sir.
is there any possibility he wouldn't have required surgery?
It was likely that at some point in his care, he would have required an operative intervention. It may not have been during the immediate or resuscitative efforts.
And I guess that gets me to my last question. Would he have survived these injuries if he had been brought to JPS?
I do believe, in my experience as an emergency physician, that he would have survived the emergency department resuscitation.
How long after these injuries were inflicted would he have needed to have been brought to JPS to help him?
Yes, sir. Regarding what condition?
The leg injuries.
Well, obviously, we would like to have anyone brought who's been injured as soon as possible. I think that his degree of injuries put him in an area with regional trauma center access that provide a very good chance for survivability. We'd like to see that window as soon as possible, but I think particularly between 30 and 90 minutes, he had excellent chances of survival.
And that's 39 minutes after infliction of the injuries.
Yes, sir.
What if it had been, say, 2 hours? What would his chances been then?
I can't give you a % chance because there's a multitude of variables, such as the position of the body at the scene, such as the access to immediate care, what care was delivered at the scene. If he was completely unattended, there are many case histories in my experience, through what I've read about, through collegial discussions, through my own experience of patients that have endured similar injuries for long periods of time, measured in hours, and still had survivable chances. You bring up issues regarding would his extremities have survived? Would it have led to more complications? Perhaps those things as time endures could be considered, but I would have no way to address that.
We don't have any other questions for purposes of this hearing, Your Honor.
Anything from state?
No, Judge.
Judge, I go and get these exhibits marked, we'll offer them right before his testimony begins.
All right.
At the court's instruction, I divided 3 sets of records into, which are now 6 sets. And what I want to do is I want to mark the set we're offering for the court's ruling as the exhibit number, and the set we're offering for the record this time is that number A. And do that with each of these records, so I can have those marked at this time.
All right.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would, outside the presence of the jury, make the following offers of evidence. We intend, when the jury comes back in, to offer State's Exhibit 186 into evidence for all purposes, and 186A for the record only at this time. For the record purposes, these were all one exhibit at one time, which also contained the business records affidavit, of which notice was duly served on the defense of our intent to offer it. That's for one set of records from Health South Rehabilitation where this defendant was employed. State's Exhibit 187 is going to be records from Stonegate Nursing Center where this defendant was employed. We offer 187 for all purposes. We offer 187A just for the record. As with the previous exhibit, these were at one time one exhibit, business records affidavit attached, proper notice given. Finally, State's Exhibit 188, which are records of pro-tension nurses where this defendant was employed. We're offering 188 for all purposes. We're offering 188A for the record at this time. Again, once one exhibit, business records affidavit attached, due notice given to the defense.
Your Honor, we are going to object to State's Exhibits 186, 187, and 188 on grounds of relevance. In the event that objection is overruled, on 403 grounds. Additionally, we would state that we have offered to stipulate that Ms. Mallard was a certified nurse's assistant, was employed in these various nursing homes, and received training through these various nursing homes, and therefore under Old Chief versus United States, we submit that the evidence of these records is inadmissible in violation of the Due Process Clause.
All right. Overruled. Further, court has run the requisite test for your 403 objection, and that too is overruled.
And we would ask for a running objection on all those grounds.
You may have it.
And Your Honor, when the jury's back in, my intent is at this time just to offer the records. We may at a later point ask to publish portions of it to the jury.
All right. Therefore, State's Exhibits 186, 187, and 188 will be admitted for all purposes. 186A, 187A, and 188A will be admitted for the record only.
Thank you.
Anything further before we bring in the jury?
No, Your Honor.
All right, bring in the jury. All right, counsel for the state, you can call your next witness.
State calls Dr. Ray Swinton.
Let the record reflect this witness has been previously sworn. You may continue.
Your Honor, this time may I offer some records and evidence before we begin with this witness.
You may.
Your Honor, we would offer into evidence business records from Health South regarding this defendant's employment there. That State's Exhibit number 186. We would offer into evidence business records from Stonegate Nursing Center where this defendant was employed. State's Exhibit 187. And records from Pro-Touch Nurses Inc. where this defendant was employed. State's Exhibit number 188.
We will reassert our previously stated objections and re-request our previously granted running objection.
All right. Your previous objections are overruled. State's Exhibits 186, 187, and 188 will be admitted.
And I assume we have our running objection, Your Honor?
You do. You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Swinton, would you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Ray Swinton. It's a pleasure and honor to be here, and I look forward to answering your questions and any expertise that I can bring on your behalf.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Can you tell the members of the jury how you're employed?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, I am the interim chairman of emergency medicine at John Peter Smith Hospital here in Fort Worth. I'm also a faculty member of the emergency department over at UT Southwestern's campus in Dallas.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your educational background?
Yes, ma'am. I am experienced in emergency medicine going back into the late 70s when I began training as an EMT and volunteered on an ambulance service. I then changed career paths and became a paramedic for a season, which for a few years I was employed as a paramedic in the early 80s. I entered medical school in 1985 and completed it in 1989, upon which time I went into a residency training or training after medical school in a specialty of which I chose emergency medicine. I've been practicing emergency medicine in both academic and private practice situations since 1992 upon graduating from that residency.
So your specialty is emergency medicine.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And were you also in the military at one time?
Yes, ma'am. I served in the military.
All right. As a part of your training for medical personnel, did you also train how to treat combat-related casualties?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Can you tell the members of the jury the types of classes that you teach at UT Southwestern?
Yes, ma'am. At UT Southwestern, in addition to being related with Parkland Memorial Hospital and the large health facility that is, we also have an emergency medicine training program. Same type of training that I went through. I am now faculty and part of helping teach young physicians who also want to be emergency physicians and have done that for a number of years.
Are you board certified?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you board certified in?
By the American College of Emergency Physicians.
Where are you licensed to practice?
I'm licensed practice in Texas and in Louisiana. And let me clarify that. That's the American Board of Emergency Medicine.
Okay. All right. How many years have you been with John Peter Smith Hospital?
Since February of 2002, so approximately a year and a half.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a trauma center is?
I sure can. A trauma center, like other aspects of healthcare, is an area of specialization. When an area is in need of trauma management, that is the management of injuries acutely, over many years, it's come to be realized that regional centers of excellence should be developed, particularly in urban and other areas, to specialize, if you will, in the management of severe injuries. So regional centers of excellence, a hospital, if you will, makes an application to the state, which some are granted, some are not, for delivering trauma care at various levels. For example, in the Fort Worth area, you have 2 trauma centers. They're both designated a level 2, which is John Peter Smith Hospital as well as Harris Methodist.
And is John Peter Smith Hospital one of the best trauma centers in the state of Texas?
It is, in my opinion, now that may be somewhat biased because of my position, but I do feel that John Peter Smith provides excellent care in the trauma arena.
Okay. And in preparation for your testimony today, have you reviewed some materials involved in this case?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
What have you reviewed?
I have reviewed what's been made available to me, and that has been the autopsy report of Dr. Pirwani from the Tarrant County District. I've also seen some of the autopsy photographs that Dr. Pirwani provided for review.
All right. And specifically, with regard to the autopsy, was that the autopsy report of Mr. Greg Biggs?
Yes, ma'am, a photostatic copy of that.
And were the autopsy photos that you reviewed the autopsy photos likewise of Mr. Biggs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with the injuries discussed in Mr. Biggs' autopsy?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay. Can you tell the members of the jury a little bit about those injuries, generally speaking?
Sure. It appears that upon review of the autopsy, that the injuries that were sustained by this gentleman were predominantly limited to his extremities, that is, his arms and legs, particularly the right side of his body, as there were broken bones or fractures both in his right arm and in both the upper and lower aspects of his right leg. There was also tissue disruption or large cuts, gashes, if you will, in the right side of his extremities, both the arm and the leg as well. The left side of his body, the injuries appear to be significantly isolated to his left lower leg, at which point the description, the autopsy, is his left lower leg below his knee was essentially almost amputated or almost completely removed from the body. In other words, it was hanging on by less than what he would feel is sustainable amounts of tissue.
Okay. Doctor, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The compound fracture of the distal right humerus proximal to the elbow with a large stellate laceration along the dorsal surface measuring 1 1/2 inches. What is that referring to?
What he's referring to there is the upper portion of your arm. Your humeral bone runs through here. The upper portion of the arm had a fracture through the bone. That's a broken bone. So the bone itself was actually broken in perhaps 1, if not more pieces. The term compound simply means that the skin overlying a broken bone has been disrupted. A cut over the surface of a bone could represent that the bone actually protruded through the skin at some point, making it much more complex in terms of management of that type of an injury. As we look at the description going there, he's describing it as near but just proximal to the elbow. A large stellate laceration is simply a way of describing a very complex looking cut. As you may well know from personal experience, a cut is simply anything that causes disruption in the skin. Stellate is star-like, if you will, or multiple cuts in the same area. Often happens when something impacts something with a tremendous force. Instead of cutting like a knife, the intense force of throwing an object of skin up against something at tremendous force can cause the skin, if you will, to begin to rupture or break. And that would cause a stellate or star-like pattern, if you will, on the skin and in the surface of the wound.
Okay. And so simply put, his upper right arm was broken.
His upper right arm was broken, and there was significant soft tissue injury or lacerations, cuts, if you will, in the same area.
Okay. Now, what does a simple comminuted fracture of the right femur mean?
Simple implies that the skin over the area was intact. Simple meaning that there was no laceration, as you just described with the other injury. The comminuted portion of that means that the bone was broken into more than one piece. In other words, if a segment of the middle of the bone was broken both above and below, there would appear to be 3 or more pieces in that wound, so the bone was considerably broken.
Okay. So simply put, does that mean the right upper thigh was broken?
That's correct.
So now we have the right arm broken and the right upper thigh broken.
Correct.
All right. Now, looking at the next injury, a simple comminuted fracture of the distal right tibia and fibula. What does that mean?
What he's describing is in the lower leg, that is on the right side of the body below your knee. There are 2 long bones, or the bones that make up the greater length of your lower leg. One is the tibia, the long bone and the hard bone up front. The other is the fibula, the outside or lateral portion of your leg. In this condition, again, the same circumstance, both bones were broken, and both were broken into at least 3 or more pieces.
So does that mean the right lower leg was broken?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, with regard to the fourth injury, the near traumatic amputation of the left leg. Can you explain that for the jury?
Yes, ma'am. Again, you see the terms compound comminuted fractures, which we've already discussed, implies that the skin was disrupted. Underneath that same area of skin disruption, the bones were broken into multiple pieces, as we described before. The additional terms here mean that there was extensive soft tissue or extensive derangement injury to the skin, soft tissue, muscles, if you will, underlying structures in addition to the bone that lead to that leg almost being cut off from the body.
Having looked at Mr. Biggs' autopsy, were there any other significant injuries?
There were many other injuries listed, such as various abrasions or contusions or bruises, if you will, at various parts of the body, but there were no other immediate life-threatening injury in the areas that we normally consider for immediate life threats in trauma.
Okay. What is a life-threatening injury?
A life-threatening injury is something that by its nature, if medical attention is not administered appropriately, could often lead to death. That could be areas of injury that don't allow you to breathe adequately, that involves your ability to use your chest muscles, for your heart to function, or for your blood vascular system to be disrupted in a way that's simply not repairable.
Okay. Looking at the injuries that were discussed in Mr. Biggs' autopsy, is there something that the body undergoes by itself before any medical care is ever rendered?
Yes, ma'am. And that's actually an excellent question because your body is your first defense mechanism to any insult that it sustains. And let me explain that for a minute if I could. Okay. Your body is wonderfully made. There are many systems that come to bear in a time of need. Let's specifically focus on trauma for this discussion because that's the issue at hand. But for example, if you sustain a significant injury and you begin to bleed significantly, bleeding, what I mean by that is that arteries or veins or both have been disrupted or cut or injured to the point that they're leaking blood from the body. Your body does many things to try and self-correct itself. First, and not necessarily in this order, but really all in concert, it brings to bear what we call your hematologic system, or your body's innate ability to clot off bleeding blood vessels through many different tissue functions, through plasma, through platelets, through hormonal release. It attempts to clot off blood vessels. It sends signals to the smooth muscle of the dilated areas of your veins and arteries to shrink down. That is, for example, a comparison would be a garden hose that you could increase or decrease the diameter of the opening. Your body innately tries to shrink that opening as best it can to reduce the amount of blood. At the same time, it tries to form blood clots that you've probably seen on yourself after cuts and do it in a very aggressive fashion. That's just your hematologic system. A system that also kicks in at the same time is your entire cardiovascular system. Cardiovascular is a terminology that refers to the function of your heart and blood vessels. The heart itself will begin to beat faster, and it will begin to beat stronger if it's able to, in an attempt to sustain your bodily functions. It begins to work hard. Your blood vessels, we've already talked about, they will attempt, one, to get smaller in areas of bleeding, but they also do other things that are quite dramatic. Your body will automatically begin to redistribute blood to what are the vital organs of your body. For example,
Doctor, can I ask you just a second? Can you
Yes,
slow
ma'am.
down just a fraction?
I sure can. Forgive me, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What will happen innately with your cardiovascular system as your body tries to do the things we talked about? It will try to preserve the organs that can be most damaged during a bleeding episode.
And what are those organs?
Particularly, we worry about the organs that are most sensitive to oxygen deprivation, or the inability to get the nutrients and blood supply or the perfusion of three important areas. One is your brain.
And why is that important?
It's important because it's the neurologic center for everything that you do. And without a functioning brain, it would be very difficult to accomplish a lot of the other tasks, one that we're going to do, and also to sustain functional activity. Your heart would be the next main organ system that your body wants to sustain functioning, because without an effectively beating heart, you will die very quickly. The third system may seem odd to you, but is your kidneys. Your kidneys function in many different ways. Most of us are familiar with our kidneys or renal function in the process of generating urine. But that whole area of your anatomy is also very important for generating a number of hormones and other substances that regulate how your body regulates water control, how it regulates your blood vasculature, your blood pressure, many other things. So your kidney system will kick in through those hormones we talked about to attempt to slow down the bleeding by conserving water. We have to remember that blood, more than 50% of blood is a substance called plasma. Plasma is a salty water mix of various minerals, electrolytes, and other substances, in addition to the red blood cells that give blood its color, white blood cells that help us fight off infection, as well as platelets and other things that we talked about that help us clot blood. So conserving water, which is a main function of your kidneys, is very important. Now, that's just some of the systems that kick in very quickly, but I think you can begin to see that as you immediately sustain an injury, your body is trying to sustain itself and repair itself, or at least preserve itself as much as possible. But a lot of things affect that. For example, you may have in your experience felt faint at some time or felt just the need to lay down. That's actually your neurologic system telling your body that something might be wrong and you should take a flat position. Well, why in the world does that happen? Well, that happens because your body is wonderfully made. It tells you to lay down because it does what we talked about. In that redistribution of blood, remember, to the heart, to the brain, to the kidneys, by lying flat, it makes it easier for your body to get blood to those particular areas. If you ignore those symptoms, for example, if you feel really like you're going to pass out, you feel tired.
All right, for starters, I don't know if you've ever seen somebody bleed out so much that their plasma came out. I have. And it's
Gross.
disgusting.
I'm
but
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to change the subject, so go ahead.
I was gonna say, when he's talking about laying down and you gotta kind of, for your body to kind of even itself out. I understand that. I was born with something that I often, like, if I stand up, like, it makes my heart beat too fast. If I stand up too quickly, it'll make me pass out because it's making my body lay flat and it's protecting my organs. So, Gabby, mine was I walked in on an inmate that had tried to do it to his wrist and he was unsuccessful, so he did it to his neck. And then, well, before that, he did his wrist vertical both ways, very, very deep, and then did it to his neck. And it was, when I went in, the light was still off, and I stepped on a very sticky substance, and I knew something was wrong. So I asked them to turn the lights on in that corner. I radioed for them to turn the lights on, and
I remember you telling me that story because I've never forgot it, and gross.
Yeah, so when he's talking about plasma, that's why y'all saw my face. Like,
Well, I've been sitting here smiling, listening to this guy, not because I just like, oh, this is so great and gross. It's because
it's because my mom's a psychopath. Don't get her.
he's a teacher, and you can tell he's a teacher, and he thoroughly enjoys what he teaches. And I do like the fact that he's, for lack of a better term, he's dumbing it down for us lay people out here who may not exactly know exactly what he's talking about. And he's not doing it in a way that's like talking down to you. He's just talking to you, but he loves you. This guy loves his job. Like that's all. That's the only reason I'm just sitting here smiling. I'm not smiling because I'm not a psychopath. Carmen.
I'm sitting here hoping that that's the person that gives me my yearly psychological exam tomorrow.
Yeah, he
Like,
does find it interesting, and yes, exactly, and he thinks other people should too, and it's helped me to be like, okay, I understand what you're talking about. The first guy that testified didn't. He has explained it. He has broken it down, and the first guy that didn't, I was kind of like, what kind of injury is that? Like, what does that mean? I don't know, but he did not go into the details that this guy is. Now he needs to take a breath every now and then, and he keeps looking at the prosecutor like, are you going to ask me a question, or can I keep going? Like,
Yeah.
you really want to keep
But
going?
But you are right with the first couple of people that testified when they tried to quote unquote break it down. Even though like I know my stuff with this, even I was sitting here like, what? Like, what are you? There were several times I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like,
And it was, I mean, I've been in law enforcement for over 10 years, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not bashing anybody with a high school diploma. That's all I got. But it was like some of these terminologies, some I know, but if you're going to sit here and talk to a juror or a jury, you got to dumb this down a little bit.
yep.
Like, because somebody that I have somewhat of an idea what you're saying, even I don't understand it. But I've been doing this for a while.
Side eye, I'm with you. I don't do puke.
So, you want to hear a story?
Nope.
And then we'll get back to it.
Nope.
I'm gonna tell it anyways. So, I used to be a jailer in corrections in a college town, and we used to get a lot of drunk females in there. And I will never forget. I saw this female come in, or my captain radioed me and was like, "Hey, you need to go down to Sally Port." And I knew anytime my captain radioed me, I got a combative. And I walked down there, and I'm not a big person, but for female range, I'm pretty tall for females. And not so as my sister-in-law, but pretty close.
My sister thought you were shorter than me. I'm like, no.
No. And so this lady walks in, or this young woman walks in, drunk as could be, in a paper gown. So I knew she had already been to the hospital. And cussing me up and down. And so I'm trying to pat her down, and she's been being a little squiggly. That's not a word. Squiggly.
It's fine. Squirmy.
Squirmy. Yeah, squirmy. So I finally get her to calm down, and she turns because I got her handcuffs off. I got her calm down, did all that. And she turns, and I see that look on her face. I said, "Don't you dare throw up on me." And she didn't even get the next sentence out of her mouth. And I just grabbed her face. Like I got it on my hands, but I didn't get it everywhere else. And I just grabbed her face and just whoop.
I I mean, what else do you do? It's self-defense at that point.
And I remember that my captain behind me, and she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "It's better than my uniform." I was like, "This stuff's expensive to watch."
No kidding.
And I looked at her, I was like, "Ma'am, are you okay?" She's like, "You poked me in the eye." I was like, "I didn't
Sorry.
mean to, but it'll heal. Like, you'll be fine." I just didn't want to get thrown up on.
All right. Well, as Gabby called it, back to Leave It to Beaver hairdo.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to check patient unable to sign because my patient barfed.
I get it.
I would have been like, I'm also unable to sign because I barfed. That's
And you try to avoid laying down, eventually, as the condition
Oh.
worsens, you will
that's the defendant. That's the first time we've seen that
Look.
that picture of her. That is the defendant right there. That is Chante Mallard.
Is she on X right now?
Huh? Oh, I was thinking Twitter.
Ecstasy.
I was like, how is she? What?
My brother. So don't get confused with the Brandons. That one's my brother. And we got Brandon Let's Go, but then we got Brandon. That one's actually my brother. She looks thrilled to be there.
Yeah.
Well, ma'am, you wouldn't have to be there if you went and got this gentleman some help.
Yep. All right.
If you guys hear my chair squeaking, I need a new chair.
X, Twitter, ecstasy. I mean,
X.
is there a difference?
X victim. X Twitter. Ecstasy. It's all the same thing.
Could be on X. Jody Arias is on X. Well. I mean, huh. Okay. I lost her. She's gone. All right, back to this cheerful woman.
Yeah, let's do it.
faint or have a syncopal episode.
Your Honor, at this time, we're going to object to narration.
Sustained.
What happens next, doctor?
After those areas, your body is basically in a compensatory mechanism of where it's trying to maximize all those systems we just described. And I felt it was important to give you that background because we're going to talk a lot about those systems as they relate to shock, as they relate to injury, and the potential for survivability. So I think it is good background information to be able to make some of those decisions make sense.
Okay. So in essence, the body, through its multiple systems, compensates immediately, begins to compensate.
Objection, Your Honor, that's leading.
Sustained.
Doctor, in a nutshell, does the body begin to compensate right away?
Your body innately exactly puts into place compensatory mechanisms that I described. Those will sustain for a period of time. Continued insult without intervention could lead to other complications.
All right. Now, having looked at the injuries discussed in Mr. Biggs' autopsy, what would you expect, or what would be the condition that you would expect Mr. Biggs to arrive at John Peter Smith?
Based on the injuries as I read in the autopsy, I would expect him to arrive with his blood pressure intact and a heart rate and alive.
Okay. If Mr. Biggs had come through the doors at John Peter Smith in a reasonable amount of time, having been treated by MedStar and transported to John Peter Smith Hospital, can you tell the jury, walk them through step by step what John Peter Smith physicians would have done to treat him?
Sure. Well, and again, some of that will occur even before arrival at John Peter Smith. Most likely, most often, the emergency medical system or the ambulance response unit, if you will, would have contacted the hospital already. Treatment would have begun at the scene. And important treatment, in this case in particular, that is the stop of obvious hemorrhage or bleeding control, would have been done by EMS personnel if it hadn't been done by on-scene personnel even prior to EMS.
Let me stop you right there for a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the members of the jury all the different potential ways to stop someone's bleeding?
Yes, ma'am. There's many different things that you can do in addition to the compensatory mechanisms that your body's trying to do. From the response unit of a medically trained person, you would first apply direct pressure. That is putting something directly over the wound itself, usually a bandage that we could describe if you need further information, that would allow by direct pressure to help those cascades of hematology we just discussed, those coagulation or blood clot formation, to be able to be formed quickly. And direct pressure typically will stop most bleeding. If indeed that didn't work, they could apply additional bandages over that same site. If continued bleeding was still profuse, in the opinion of the people taking care of the person that needed further address, they could then go regionally to what we call pressure points, or the sites where arteries flow towards an extremity that can be palpated or felt with your hand, and where you can apply enough pressure over particular areas, such as at the elbow, under the arm, or in the axilla, or in the groin or inguinal area, to stop or at least significantly reduce the arterial flow at those areas.
Okay, I was waiting for him to take a breath. Side-eye, thank you for becoming a member of the jury pool. I appreciate it so much.
I don't care if you were trying to pause or not. I'm sitting over here like,
I was waiting for him to and he didn't. He doesn't. But thank you so much. I appreciate it very much.
my brother would actually find that really funny. I know what you mean, but my brother would find that even funnier.
Gabby is like obsessed with this guy's hair.
I went back. Good. That's what we do. We went back to each other. But yes, like my mom said, thank you so much for becoming a member. We really, really appreciate it.
It's sorry, I'm like I'm discombobulated for some reason. I'm like stuck on his hair, waiting for him to take a breath. Like I see you like this, and I'm trying.
He's over here doing this.
I know. I was like, I know. Just give me a second.
She's just give her some time. She's a little out of sorts. She got locked in a pit last week and the week
Not
before.
last week I was here. It was a couple weeks
that is
ago.
true. Yeah. Pit time. Who knows? But I locked my mom in a pit. Told her somebody's definitely yelling at her to put the lotion on the skin or she's going to get the hose again. In reality, she was actually just remodeling her studio. But I like to have fun with it.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Lord.
I tried to not.
Side-eye. So hold on. Side-eye. This chat's just as bad as Baker's. And I mean that in a good way with Baker's. But they take, if you say something with a deep part, they're going to take off with it. As in, I'm going to take off with it.
No, you're not. Yes. Oh my gosh.
This court clerk's over like, what the? I'm not going to say that word because my mom's on here.
I like how, yeah, whatever. My fault, you're old, Gabby. Flash fan, tread lightly.
Ooh, all right. And play.
What?
You said flashbang tread lightly, and I said, and play.
Oh.
To the areas of injury. If pressure points would not work and the person was still in a state of shock that was becoming worse, and they thought that exsanguination or hemorrhage to the point of death was possible, they could actually even apply tourniquets to any or all of the extremities in question.
What is a tourniquet, doctor?
A tourniquet is a circumferential or totally surrounding band of material that, when placed properly, will completely occlude all blood, that is from the arteries and the veins, distal or at a point away from where it is applied. For example, if you applied a tourniquet above the knee to someone, from the knee down would receive no blood supply whatsoever if applied properly.
Okay. Let me ask you this. With the injuries that Mr. Biggs had sustained, would a tourniquet have been the immediate choice of dealing with the blood flow?
No, ma'am.
Why?
because most bleeding can be controlled with direct pressure or one of the less invasive mechanisms I talked about.
When you say less invasive mechanisms, why is a physician or someone treating someone wounded concerned about choosing the less invasive option?
Yes, ma'am. Regarding that, what we're after, remember, first we want to sustain life. We want to make sure this person lives through the event that's occurred. Our second major issue is to make sure that we sustain limb function, and that is that we're able to salvage the use of arms and legs as much as possible. The use of a tourniquet, and it has a lot to do with more than just applying. It has to do with the duration it's on, the other underlying injury, often can make the situation of saving the extremity much more difficult.
Okay. In looking at Mr. Biggs' injuries, would MedStar have been more concerned with saving the extremity or saving his life?
Well, they would have assessed some very immediate life threats. Remember, they would have seen a gentleman that was in a state of being struck by a vehicle. They would have been concerned about his extremities. They would have first addressed his airway. They would have looked at his breathing status. Then they would have looked at his circulatory or bleeding issues, also the function of his heart and his neurologic function, and be concerned about what other injuries he may have. He may have sustained intrathoracic or injuries inside the chest that could be life-threatening. He could have sustained intra-abdominal injuries, such as your liver, spleen, many other things we could talk about. They would have been concerned about all those things, in addition to perhaps an injury to his neck or a fracture of the cervical spine or a broken neck would have been something else they would have been concerned about from a neurologic standpoint.
From a what kind of standpoint, Doctor?
From a neurologic or from the nervous system function of your neck.
Okay. And I guess my question is, if you had seen Mr. Biggs, would you have thought immediately he's going to lose his life? Or would you have thought, oh, all I'm going to try to do is save his leg as well as his life?
Again, it would depend on exactly what time I saw Mr. Biggs. Are you referring to the ambulance scene or upon arrival to us?
At John Peter Smith.
When we would have seen him, we would have, one, had some of the additional information. For example, we would have understood what his vital signs were, or his blood pressure, his heart rate, his respiratory rate, and his neurologic function, i.e. if he was awake or not at the scene, which would have helped us make better assessment to what his immediate life-threatening injuries were. But we would have considered the entire package of Mr. Biggs, not just his isolated extremities. We would have been assessing, like I just referred to, his thorax, chest, abdominal cavities, and other injuries that may have sustained that weren't immediately either detectable or immediately obvious to the ambulance crews.
Okay. If Mr. Biggs had arrived at John Peter Smith Hospital, would you have had physicians waiting for him?
Yes, ma'am. He would have been greeted upon arrival by the emergency physician and most likely, from a description of the injuries, the trauma team itself.
What is the trauma team made up of?
The trauma team functions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is led by one of the trauma staff physicians. That's an attending or a senior physician, and he is often assisted by other attendings or residents, that is physicians in training, as well as a cadre of specialized nurses and other technicians.
How many medical personnel would have been waiting to treat Mr. Biggs?
There would have been several, probably in the neighborhood, if you look at nurses, technicians, and physicians immediately in the room with him, probably 6 to 7 people. But there would have been many more people involved in his care. There would have been people immediately putting orders in, contacting the pharmacy, notifying the lab if we needed blood that would have been on standby for him. An operating crew would have been notified that they may be necessary to immediately go to the operating room and being prepared to be stood up, if you will, or ready to go to action. So there's many personnel involved.
In looking at his injuries, would it have been immediately necessary to take him to the operating room?
Again, it's difficult to say without understanding how he arrived. That is, the condition, his vital signs, was he stable or not? Depending on how that looked, I could better answer the question. But there's a very good chance he would have not needed to go immediately to the operating room. If his vital signs were stable and it becomes obvious that his injuries over our assessment are limited to his extremities, he may need of operative intervention for repair of some of those wounds that you described. But it may not have been something that required him immediately to go to the operating room.
Okay. How would you have treated him immediately upon his arrival?
Yes, ma'am. As he would have arrived, we would have transferred him over to the trauma room, which is a designated area which has all the necessary resuscitative equipment, including x-ray, medications, and other modalities that we may need in the resuscitation or the helping of a trauma victim. He would have had all these things I'm going to talk about now done nearly at the same time because of the number of people we're talking about. This would all occur. The head physician team would begin what we call a rapid life-threatening assessment, or is referred to sometimes as assessing the ABCs, the beginning beginnings, if you will, of looking at his airway. That is he able to get air in? That's the first most important thing we need to assess, because if you have no ability to get air in, life-sustaining events are going to be futile until we get that done.
Okay.
The second thing we would have looked at, I'm sorry.
That was going to be my question, doctor. What was the next step?
The next step would be breathing. We would look to see the status of how well his lungs are expanding, because there's life-threatening injuries that we want to detect for. Without belaboring the point, things like a collapsed lung, an injury to the heart or great vessels that he may have sustained but still alive through would have been things we want to immediately assess.
And let me ask you there, in looking at his autopsy, did you see any evidence of a collapsed lung?
No, ma'am. We saw no evidence per the autopsy report of a life-threatening intrathoracic injury.
Okay. Did you see any damage to the heart in the discussion of the injuries that Mr. Biggs has sustained?
No, ma'am, we did not.
Okay. What would have been the next step in treating Mr. Biggs?
We would have been, again, we're just in the assessment phase. We would have been going through the circulatory system, looking at the wounds we've described. Is bleeding controlled adequately right now, or is more intervention necessary? Were there more things that the doctors needed to do that the ambulance couldn't? Would have been the next step. We would then begin to look at his neurologic or his awakeness, if you will. Is he alert? Is he awake? Could he answer questions? If he can't, what can he do? And we have various tests to look at that. Then we would begin by exposing the rest of Mr. Biggs's body to look for other injuries, removing his clothes in appropriate fashion. At the same time as what I'm describing to you, that sounds cumbersome. That's about a 1-minute assessment. It takes a very short period of time to make some of those critical assessments. At the same time, we would have either perhaps added additional IVs or access to veins in case we needed to give him medications, fluid or blood, or all of the above. He would have been placed on oxygen to allow his body to tolerate the insult a little better by providing additional oxygen better than you can breathe. We would have also begun perhaps looking at other modalities such as x-rays, drawing lab tests, all these things being done concurrently.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that one of the steps took about 60 minutes for the assessment. Did you mean one of the steps in treating Mr.
60 seconds, excuse me if I said minutes.
60 seconds. I
In
missed
1
that.
minute, we can do that primary survey as I described to you.
So all of the steps, checking his airway, checking his breathing, controlling the bleeding, doing a neurological assessment, and exposing him to view his body would have all taken approximately 60 seconds?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And is that because multiple people would have been working on him simultaneously?
Yes.
Your Honor, leading.
Why is that, doctor?
Honestly, one person can conduct a 60-second evaluation and go through the steps I did. That's trained in trauma management.
Okay. What would have been the next step in treating Mr. Biggs?
After we had assessed that and confirmed that there was no more immediate life-threatening injury right now that demanded immediate intervention, that is an immediate procedure, some other event that we had to perform, we would then what's called a secondary assessment. That is a very detailed head-to-toe examination that you're much more familiar with when you go to the doctor, beginning with the head, eyes, ears, nose, throat, and working down the entire body, looking for additional injuries, assessing better functions, and getting a much more gathering of information in what we now presume is, at least for the moment, a stable or not decompensating individual's condition.
And how long approximately does the second phase of the assessment take?
Well, that could take several minutes to complete. It really depends on what's found and to what detail we need to further the investigation and how his condition is going. At any time in this process, we're continually monitoring his vital signs, the blood pressure, pulse, respiration, his neurologic awakeness. If there's a change in there, we go back right to the primary survey. We again go through those life-threatening conditions to evaluate what's changed, what's new, what's different. And that secondary survey would have stopped and we would continue on at an appropriate time.
Are there different categories of life-threatening injuries?
Yes, ma'am.
What are those categories?
You can break it down probably best described by organ systems. That is, let's begin with the head, or dealing particularly with your brain. A massive head injury, for example, a tremendous force to your head that results in your brain not functioning can rapidly lead to death for a number of reasons.
Okay. And would that be considered a catastrophic life-threatening injury or a traditional life-threatening injury?
I'm not sure what you mean by the differentiation between catastrophic and traditional, but as an immediate cause of death, for example, if you are going to sustain an injury that is not survivable, in that if I was standing next to you, by no means I mean I have all skill, but I mean if a competent physician was standing right next to you with all the equipment immediately available, there are some injuries you could sustain that we could not help you through. Such things as a massive head injury that totally made your brain dysfunction beyond repair. the acute disruption of your heart, either because it was fractured or broken, ripped, if you will, and leaking blood, or the largest artery of your body, known as your aorta, if that was disrupted in your chest or abdomen. Those are the classic, and there may be some others, but those are the classic presentations of immediate injuries that lead to death very rapidly in a very few minutes, sometimes seconds, and completely what we would consider not resuscitatable.
Okay. Did you see any evidence of those type injuries in Mr. Biggs' autopsy?
No, ma'am.
How would you classify the injuries that Mr. Biggs sustained?
I would classify them as in the second group. There's about 3 different peaks, if you will, in trauma deaths or injuries that lead to death in trauma. The first is death in the first few minutes after an injury with the injuries we just described. The second group or second peak is some of the classic teachings when you refer to the golden hour, when you refer to the injuries that could be life-threatening, that if not attended properly could lead to death, but they usually give you a time limit of somewhere 30 minutes, an hour, perhaps a few hours in some cases, of where intervention is critically needed, but a delay still allows for functional assessment.
And where did Mr. Biggs' injuries fall in that category?
Clearly, he falls into that middle group that I just described, because the third group that I have not described would be delayed deaths. Those are due to complications, particularly along the lines of infection that becomes widespread, known as sepsis, or other complications that can ensue in the days or even weeks following resuscitation, operative procedures, or injuries.
How long, looking at Mr. Biggs' injuries, how long could you have waited to begin treating him and still have saved his life?
Again, some of that is difficult questions to put timelines on because there's a multitude of variables. The position of the injured victim, the position of his injured extremities, his health condition, all to some degree would have to be.
So from my understanding, yes, he was just bleeding out very, very slowly. He did not have any quote unquote catastrophic injuries that were like life-taking at the time.
Yeah, the
If-
doctor is looking at you right now like, I just said that, Carmen.
Well, they asked the question,
Okay.
asshole.
Ow.
I'm just kidding.
It did take him like, it says 2 or 3 days to finally succumb to his injuries. So yeah, it had to be horrible and very painful.
The one thing I disagree with him on is his category, like how he categorizes things. He doesn't put like instant in there. For me, it'd be instant, number 1. And then with his next one, number 2, you can go on and so forth. Like, so when he talks about sepsis, I've had sepsis before. I had sepsis with my last surgery on my face, and it was terrible. And it wasn't very fun. It's very, very painful. But he is right. I mean, I'm not saying he's incorrect with his statement. I'm just saying I think you should broadcast those components out a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So side-eye, the witness before him essentially said that, yes, he would have survived had he been given prompt medical attention. And the defense only comeback was because he talked about the golden hour. The defense's only comeback to that was, well, you have the call time, the response time, he was trying to say like it would still take 30 to 40 minutes to get him to the hospital. It wouldn't have. From my understanding, I think they were, even though she wasn't to her house yet, she was still in the vicinity of 2 hospitals. So, or the fire department or the police station. Like she was still there. And they did that with the last witness to say, if she would have just called, they would have been there. And I think he said 3 or 4 minutes and then let him go.
So like a lot of times with law enforcement stuff, we have a certain time span that we got to respond to, and EMS is the same from any department that I've ever worked for. We have our time span that we have to respond to. EMS has the exact same components of the time to respond to. Only time EMS, again, with any department that I've ever worked for, is if we tell EMS to hold back. even though they are still there, like they met their time span, we just tell them hold back because it's not safe. But
Right.
even if she would, like, if she had a cell phone on her and she would have just stopped right then and there and called, they still would have been there. The dude still
Even-
would have been alive.
I think you can dial 911 for free on a payphone.
You can. It's literally a federal law. But
So
I'll be
she
right
had
back. I gotta get this DoorDash order.
somebody talked Carmen into getting DoorDash. But so yeah, he could have survived, as she just would have made a call. Yes, it is way too late to do math. All right, we have just a couple minutes, sorry, left of this witness. So let's finish this guy up.
Take into context. But in my experience, my knowledge of the literature, my knowledge of textbooks, collegial discussions, that is comparing my work to others in the same field, you're talking about at a minimum of 30 to 45 minutes, but realistically well over an hour would not be an uncommon survivability.
And is in that time frame, are you using that time as the time at which treatment begins?
No, ma'am. I'm talking about the time from when, if no intervention had ensued.
Okay. All right. So if no intervention had begun, even up to an hour after Mr. Biggs sustained his injuries, you could still have begun treatment and saved his life.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that is true.
Have you treated patients with similar injuries as Mr. Biggs?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And in your experience, could Mr. Biggs have survived these injuries?
In my experience to date, I have not had a patient that had injuries similar to Mr. Biggs die in the emergency room.
And have you treated people with worse injuries than Mr. Biggs?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you saved their lives as well?
Yes, ma'am. Again, it gets more complicated. And I think in the sense of this phrase, Mr. Biggs was fortunate that there was not found massive head injury or those horrendous injuries to his chest or abdomen that I described, so that his injuries were limited to his extremities.
Were his injuries irreversible?
No, ma'am. In terms of sustaining life,
Yes.
yes, ma'am. I believe that his injuries clearly, in the context that we described, would have provided him to live through the resuscitative phase.
And in all of your medical experience and your training, should Greg Biggs be alive today?
Obviously, ma'am, that's a very difficult question, but I believe the answer is yes.
Witness, Your Honor.
No question, John.
May this witness be excused.
No questions. Wow. Well, the defense did something right there. I'll give them that. I lost my co-host. So that's where we're going to stop for tonight. Tomorrow, I think, let me check and make sure I don't want to tell you wrong. Okay, so tomorrow is Cleet Jackson. He helped Chante move Mr. Biggs' body after he passed away. He did, I think he took a plea deal because he's testifying for the state. He did get some time. And I believe there was one other person that was charged as well. They didn't get like a super long time, but they did at least get time for their part in it. So we'll hear from him tomorrow. Should be interesting because he, like I said, he's gonna, I believe he will tell about taking him, Mr. Biggs, from the car, from the windshield to the to Cobb Park where he was discovered. And I don't know if he had a hand in helping her to dismantle her car and try to burn her seat and destroy the evidence that way. I don't know if he was one that
Are you talking about tomorrow's?
Cleet, yeah. I did not say Nelson Mandela. What? No.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So do you still have testimony from this guy, or is it over?
It's over. The defense did not ask any questions, surprisingly. They must have realized how dumb their questions for the fire captain were. Here's our exhibits. We're marking them. The state, do you have any objection? Heck no. Send them back.
So
You
it's
just
like,
help.
are you on our team? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
You just helped us convict her. Thanks. That's like we appreciate that. So
Other than that, guys, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Baker Raiders, for coming in, hitting that like and subscribe button, sticking around, chatting with us. We'll continue to do these trials. Continue, obviously, to do this one. We do like to stick to these older trials just because they make you want to have a brain aneurysm.
well,
And
they're interesting.
yeah,
We
very
haven't
interesting.
seen it in this one, but the last couple that we've watched, especially in the Betty Broderick trial, those attorneys went at each other.
Yeah.
And you got to see a lot of it before the judge would, kind of shut them down. But I like these judges. They're no nonsense. They don't do a lot of sidebars. They're speaking objections. And I know some people don't like those. I just want to know what the objection is. I want to know why they're objecting. I don't want to just see the lawyers march up and down back to the bench and back and then not know what happened. I want to understand what's going on. So
They're different than what you see in court nowadays.
yes, things have changed.
And that's like the whole reason for my mom's channel. That's her name, alternate juror. Is she wants to see things, and we want to see things from an aspect of what a juror is looking at this as. I mean, that's literally the entire concept of the channel. Is we don't go and look at all these other things. We take it as it's presented, as a juror sees it, and our Discord gets a little unhinged. So
Yes, thank you, whoever.
I'm gonna pray for you.
You may want to turn your notifications off just
Yeah,
because it's active.
Yeah, we have a very, very active Discord. We chat a lot. We watch different types of movies in there, give each other a hard time in there. And yes, Zach. Damn, Zach. Nice profile picture.
I thought so too. I was like, looking good,
I
Zach.
was-
I might
was
meet you at that
wondering where I get
Greencastle
my-
exit after all.
I was wondering where I get my good looks from. It's from you, Papa.
I was wondering where I get child support from. I haven't found that one out yet.
Apparently at that Greencastle exit.
I go there and there's never like a bag of money.
Yeah. Anyways, tomorrow, we're gonna do Cleet Jackson. That's
Yep.
his name, right?
Yep.
I do not know if I will be able to be here at least for the beginning. I got some stuff I got to do for the sheriff's department that is going to take majority of my day, if not all of my day tomorrow. So I will pop in here if I can. I don't know if I can be here tomorrow.
We shall
Because
see.
where I gotta go is out of the county, and so it's just something that's gonna take me a while.
Because Texas is a huge state.
Yeah, it's gonna take me a while on that one.
I will be here at 6 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time. So if you guys get done at Baker's watching that horrible trial over there.
Yeah, so you got it at 6 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Central time, 4 p.m. Mountain time, 10 a.m. if you live in Antarctica, which will be 10 a.m. the following day. And then you got 69 volcano. My vagina's burning. Please see a doctor.
And on that note,
She acts like I don't say this every single time.
yep. And on that note, we will see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you again so much. Have a
Bye.
great rest of your night or day or whatever it is for you. And we'll see you guys all later.
Hot mannequin love is kinda uncanny. Click, like, subscribe, ooh, piece of candy. Looking for my spotlight, chasing my vibe. Still looking for my credibility online. Ooh, hot mannequin love, candy on the floor, don't pick it up. Chasing all the clicks, chasing all the views, credibility's hiding, but I'm bringing show with me. Laughs and chaos, that's how we roll. Drop a comment down below before you go. Every little scroll is a mystery, but you stuck around, watch the show with me. Laughs and chaos, that's how we roll. Drop a comment down below before you go. Ooh.